Okay, hi everyone, good morning. It's very nice to see all of you here. Welcome to Orientation at FAS. I'm Rithini. I'm a Year 2 student studying English Literature and South Asian Studies, and I'll be your MC for today. So now we would commence the series of talks, which would take place till about 1 p.m. With the Dean's welcome. And I would like to welcome the Dean of FASS, Prof. Lionel Wee, who would be sharing with us his welcome speech. And also the most frequently asked questions that a lot of freshman students have. So, Prof. Wee.
Okay, well, I don't like long speeches, so this will be very brief and sincere. Yes, welcome. So welcome to NUS. Congratulations on making your way here. But I would also want to say welcome specifically to FASS, because in my humble but sincere opinion, I think FASS is probably the most interesting faculty in the whole university. Okay? We have so many subjects, so many departments, and so many disciplines. So if your interest happens to be in drones, if your interest happens to be in blockchain technology and how blockchain technology might be able to help stateless citizens, if your interest happens to be in food and how food plays a role in history, in heritage, if your interest happens to be in gaming technology and game design, you can find experts here in the faculty teaching modules that will cater to these interests. And of course, once you meet and talk to your professors, you'll find that they are more than happy to help you feed your interest into a scholarly context. So I reiterate the point. Welcome to the most interesting faculty in the whole of NUS. So I will ask you to do a couple of things while you're here with us in these short years. One, try, and this is very important, try to have fun, okay? Because we can cater to everybody's interest, it's very easy, I would say, to have fun while doing serious academic stuff. The two are not mutually exclusive. I speak from personal experience as a student who really enjoyed my time here. So have fun and try not to get too stressed out. And in that connection, then I would say while you're here, take the time to learn and understand more about yourself. Learn about your working style. How do you work with others? Okay, are you the kind who likes to listen to inputs from different people before trying to integrate the different viewpoints? Or do you prefer to form your own ideas and your opinions in some kind of relative isolation before you share them? How do you respond when you're faced with opposing arguments or different viewpoints? That is part and parcel of the experience of being such a interesting and diverse faculty. Do you think well on your feet? Or do you need time to rehearse and prepare a presentation before you're comfortable sharing your ideas and arguments with others? How do you respond when you're faced with pressure? And there will be pressure, right? Deadlines, multiple requests from different people. Sometimes your group mates pressurizing you about when can you submit your part of a group project. Pressure from the professors who will say, I would like to give you an extended deadline, but the dean wouldn't allow me. So when you're faced with pressure, how do you find ways to de-stress? Do you go shopping? Do you go for a reflexology? Do you listen to music, watch films? I do all four. So what are the ways you find to help you cope with stress? So with that being said, I want to just emphasize that what we have today is a lineup of talks, discussions, and activities that are intended to help prepare you for life in NUS and specifically life in FASS. So there will be faculty-level academic talks to help you understand the course registration system and the common curriculum. And there will be sessions by different departments and our partners at NUS so that you understand the range of programs that will be available to you and the opportunities you have to widen your experience intellectually as well as prepare you for a career after graduation. So thank you once again for coming this morning. And don't just have a great day, have a great 4 years with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the speech, Prof. So now we would be learning more about the FASS CHS core curriculum. So basically what you'd be doing as part of the College of Humanities and Sciences. So to speak with us on that, we have Professor Joseph Park, who's the Vice Dean of Undergraduate Studies here at FASS, and Associate Professor Zhang Yang, Vice Dean of Undergraduate Studies at FASS.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Zhang Yang. I will be, sharing this talk with Joseph. So the two of us are the Vice Deans of Undergraduate Studies, right? So what we are going to do here is to go over the CHS curriculum, right, to explain to you the NUS system, what do you need to do to get your degrees, and also some very important information and rules, right? So let me begin with a brief introduction. As you know, at CHS, this is a 4-year direct honor degree, which means that everybody, right, who are in CHS, eventually when you graduate, you're going to get an honors degree, right? There is no non-honors option. So you're going to spend 4 years with us, and at the end of the day, if your first major is in FASS, you're either going to get a BA, Bachelor of Arts, or a BE Social Science, right? So Bachelor of Social Sciences, depending on your major. So this is the overall graduation requirement, right, for CHS. I think many of you are probably already familiar with this pie chart, right? So in general, you need to fulfill 40 courses, or to be more precise, 160 units to graduate, right? So that's the minimum number of units you need to do in order to graduate. So as you can figure out here, right, this basically means that on average, right, most of the course you're going to take is worth 4 units, right, per course. So there are 3 parts in your curriculum, right? The blue one, that's the common curriculum, which is 52 units. The orange, yellow one, that's the major, right? Your primary major. This is going to be 60 units or 15 courses. And this part is the unrestricted electives, right, which we call the UEs, right, for short. And this is something that you can choose what to do. For example, right, you can use your UE space to pursue a second major, which is about 10 courses. Or you can do a minor, which is going to be 5 courses, right? So as some of you may know that you actually have the option to do a double degree, which means that you end up with 2 degrees, right? 2 separate degree scrolls at the end of the day. And one way to do this is to actually pursue a double degree within CHS, which means that you need to read 2 different degree types from CHS, right? For example, you can read a BA and a B Social Science. And another condition to fulfill right here is that you need to make sure that for both degrees, you fulfill the full major requirement, which is 15 courses for both degrees. If you do 10 courses, you will only get it as a second major, right? You don't get it as a second degree, right? So you need to, if you want to get a second degree, you need to do all 15 courses, and the 2 degrees must be 2 different degrees. You cannot get 2 BAs, for example. So this is one way to do a double degree. We're going to come back to this later. So let me just briefly elaborate on the common curriculum, which is the blue part, right? 13 courses. So this is something that everyone has to do, right? It consists of 3 parts, 6 common core courses, that's what we call it, and 5 integrated courses, right? And 2 interdisciplinary courses, right? So the goal or the purpose of the common curriculum is to give you introduction to interdisciplinary studies, right? And also to give you foundational skills for your future studies and your, your life after NUS. So here are the courses you need to take, right? And just to elaborate a little bit more, some of you may be familiar with the general education requirement of the university, right? This is something that all NUS students will have to do. So for CHS students, how do you fulfill these general education pillars? In total, we have 6, the 6 here. Basically, you fulfill the general education pillars by taking 6 modules out of the common curriculum, right? So these are mapped. So you don't have to do the general education on top of your common curriculum. So this is how they are mapped. If you look at the first pillar, which we call the cultures and connections, so for CHS students to fulfill the requirement of this pillar, you just need to take one of the integrated courses, specifically the integrated Asian studies. So this is the one that fulfills this pillar. Similarly, to fulfill the critique and expression pillar, you need to take the integrated humanities course, which is required anyway for CHS students, right? And so on and so forth. For Singapore studies, the integrated social science module or course will actually fulfill this pillar. So for the 3 pillars here, you have no choice. You have to take the 3 courses to fulfill the 3 pillars, but which also means that you don't have to take anything more than these 3 courses, right? For example, there are other courses that satisfy the culture and the connections pillar, but as long as you have this one, right, integrated Asian studies, you're done for this pillar. You don't have to take anything extra. But for the 3 pillars here, you actually have a choice on what you can do, right? So there is a basket of modules that you can choose, which are also from the common curriculum, right? As you can see here, data literacy, digital literacy, communities and engagements, those are in our 6 common core, within our 6 common core courses. So now let me show you a sample study plan, right? So as you can see here, these are the courses that you are probably going to take, right, in every semester. So in your first year, as you can see here, you're going to focus mostly on the common curriculum. So these courses with the orange borders here, right, are going to be pre-allocated to you, which means that you don't actually get to choose those courses by yourselves, right? The system will actually just allocate the course to you. So Dr. Chan later will talk more about the pre-allocation. So this means that in your first years of study, you don't have a lot of flexibility, right? Because you're going to be doing mostly the common curriculum. But starting from your second year, there is no pre-allocation and you can decide, right, how you want to, which path you want to take for your degree. So let me just emphasize that this is just an example, right? You don't have to follow this study plan strictly, right? You have flexibility in deciding, how many major courses or UEs you want to take every semester. But we do recommend you to take the interdisciplinary courses, these 2, in your year 3, right? That's our recommendation. And we also recommend you to finish the rest of your common curriculum, right, by year 2. Right? Because those 13 courses in the common curriculum are required for graduation. Everybody has to do it. So our suggestion is that you don't wait until your final year, right, to do those courses. Okay? So for some of you, right, who are actually in one of the special programs or in one of the residential colleges, you actually fulfill the common curriculum by taking some of the courses in your college, right? So this is a table, right, that basically shows you what you need to do. For example, if you're in NUS college, right, so you still have to fulfill the 13 courses, but you're going to take the 13 courses from your NUS college curriculum, right? If you look at this table, for example, if you're in NUS college, the only thing you need to take, right, is design thinking, right? The rest of the common curriculum, you're going to fulfill those requirements by taking courses in NUS college, right? Not in, from one of the other courses that other CHS students take. So if you're in one of those colleges, make sure you check your college graduation requirements, right? Okay, so one more thing here is that this is something that we're really proud of, which is we offer a great flexibility, right, for your degree pass for graduation. There are multiple ways that you can fulfill your 160 units, right? So for example, you can focus on your major. That's fine, right? You just take, remember, a major is 15 courses, but this is the minimum, right? It doesn't mean that you have to you can only take 15 courses. If you want to take more courses in your major, that's fine, right? So that's path 5. You just focus on your major, you get your degree. But you don't have to do this, right? If you want to explore more, you can do a second major, a minor, or 2 minors, right? Using your UE space. Remember, your UE space has 12 courses, which is enough to fit a second major or 2 minors, right? So as we have mentioned earlier, right, if you do a contrasting major, another major in another degree type, and do a second full major, you can actually get a double degree, right? So I think I will probably pause here for a second, right? So you can scan this QR code in case you have any questions, right? So I will give you a few seconds. So this will give you a link to Poll Everywhere where you can actually post your questions, right? At the end of the talk, if we have some time, we're going to try to answer some of the common questions. Right? Okay, let me just give you a second. All right, everyone? Any burning questions you want to clarify now? Okay, so I trusted that you have scanned the code, right? So then let me move on. Right? So that was a brief introduction to the curriculum, right? And things you need to do to graduate. So before we talk more about the curriculum, let me just, try to make sure that we understand what these terminologies mean, right? Because we have been talking about courses, units, and so on and so forth, right? So let's just look at exactly what they mean so that we're all on the same page. So what does a course mean? A course means a course, right? It's a unit of study. You take a course. And every course is going to have a unique course code, right? So this is usually what we do to refer to a particular course. So for example, GE 3204 is a course code. And how do you understand the course code? The course code will begin with a prefix, which is either 2 or 3 letters. And the prefix indicates the discipline of the course, right? And then it's going to be followed by 4 digits. And the first digit represents the level of the course. So if you look at GE 3204, that's a level 3 course. So for undergraduate, the courses are going to have 4 levels, right? It goes from level 1 all the way to level 4. If you see a level 5 course, that's actually a graduate level course, right? But some undergraduate students can also take some graduate level courses, right? So that's something that's not too important for now. Okay, so let's come back to the course code, right? As we explained earlier, the two letters, the prefix, means the discipline, right? Does anyone know what GE stands for? What discipline? General education is not a discipline. It's a discipline from FASS. Try again. Geography, yes, very good. How about this? PL4201. As you can see, this is a level 4,000 course, right? It's an advanced course. What does PL stand for? Philosophy? That was my guess when I first came here, but it was wrong. It's not philosophy. Philosophy is PH. What is PL? Psychology. Very good. How about political science? PS. Very good. You have done your homework. Okay, so, you will get to know all this, terminologies. Okay, so now, what is a unit? A unit means a unit of workload. Usually, a course that you're going to take is usually going to be 4 units, right? What does that mean? 1 unit is roughly equivalent to 2.5 hours of study per week, which means that if the course has 4 units, you're expected to put in about 10 hours per week for the course. So that includes everything, right? Your class time, your preparation work, the time for your homework. About roughly 10 hours per week, right? So most of the courses you're going to take are going to have 4 units, but we do have some courses that's 2 units, right? So just, pay attention to how many units the course have. Now, prerequisite, this just means the requirements that you have to fulfill, right, for you to be eligible to take a certain course. A prerequisite can be something like, for example, before you take this particular course, you must have fulfilled another course, right? You must have passed another course. That's a prerequisite to make sure you actually have the adequate knowledge, right, to fulfill, to take a particular course. So preclusion would mean something else, right? If we say that course A is the preclusion of course B, this means that these 2 courses cannot be taken together. Why? Because they're very similar, right? You can basically think that they're the same course. They satisfy the same learning objectives. So if you have already taken course A, you shouldn't be taking course B, right? Because A is a preclusion to B, which means that by taking course A, you have also fulfilled what you're supposed to learn in course B, right? So when you're choosing your courses, pay attention to the prerequisite, make sure you meet the prerequisite, and pay attention to the preclusion as well. Okay, now, major, minor, right? Primary major, in other words, is also called a first major. Everybody has to have a primary major, right? If you don't have a primary major, you cannot graduate. So just make sure that you pick a primary major, and remember, right, you need to complete at least 15 courses in your primary major, right, to graduate. Now, second major and minor are optional. You don't have to have it, right? So what is a second major? This basically, if you remember, right, to fulfill a second major, you need to read 40 units, which is equivalent to about 10 courses, right? And to fulfill a minor, you need to read 20 units, which is 5 courses, half of the second major, right? So for the second major and minor, you can choose the discipline within FAS or CHS, but you can also choose a second major or minor from another faculty or college of NUS, right? So there are a lot of flexibility here, right? So, but just make sure you check, right? If you're choosing a second major or minor from another faculty, just make sure you check the requirements of that particular minor or second major, right? Because they may have some additional requirements, right? Okay, any burning questions we want to clarify now? Okay, again, if you have questions, you can post on the Poll Everywhere, right, platform, and we're going to take a look at it at the end of the talk. Okay, so what primary majors do we offer in CHS, right? As you can see here, we have a big range of different majors. For FASS, we focus on Asian studies, humanities, and social sciences. And of course, together with FOS, right, we actually have 3 cross-disciplinary programs. So these are the majors that you can read, the primary majors you can read to earn a BA, right, which focus on Asian studies. Right? So these are the 6 Asian study primary majors. And these are the humanities majors. If you do one of these primary majors, you're also going to get a BA, right? Bachelor of Arts. Right? So these are going to be the majors that you're going to do if you want to get a Bachelor of Social Sciences. Right? So basically the social sciences majors. So if you're interested in the science majors, this is a list of the majors offered by the Faculty of Science. And if you do one of these as your primary major, you're going to get a Bachelor of Science. Right? Okay, so here is the list of second majors. If you look at FASS, the list of second majors is exactly the same as the list of the first majors. Right? Every primary major in FASS can also be pursued as a second major. Right? So the lists are identical, and these are the second majors for the Faculty of Science. Right? But if you look at the list of minors, it's much richer because in addition to the disciplinary minors, such as economics, political science, we also have a bunch of multidisciplinary minors. Right? So for example, art history. Right? You don't have a major in art history, right? Language science, there is no language science major, but there is a language science minor, right? Cultural studies, right? Science, technology, and society, right? So all these are called the multidisciplinary minors, right? So there are some very interesting combinations here, right? So I will suggest you, if you're interested, to go onto our website to check them out, right? And here are the minors offered by the Faculty of Science, which you are free to choose, right? We also have minors that's jointly offered by the 2 faculties. Right? Okay, any questions? So you may already know the 3 cross-disciplinary programs, right? So these are direct admission programs. When you enter at CHS, if you're in one of the programs, you're already admitted, correct? Right? So these are the 3 of them. So that's the regular programs we offer. Let me now talk a little bit more about the double degree programs, right? We have already talked a little bit at the beginning. So basically, what is a double degree program? This is going to be a program where you get 2 degrees, right? So the 2 degrees can be pursued in different ways. So one way of classifying the DDP is to look at the type of DDP, right? We have structured DDP. We also have student-designed DDP. So what is a structured DDP? It's a double degree program that has already been planned, laid out, right, worked out by the faculties, right? So it contains a fixed combination of 2 disciplines, right? And there is a planned out study plan for you. So as a student, you don't have to do any design. You just need to follow the structure, right? But we also have student-designed DDPs. So if your interested combination is not offered as a structured DDP program, you can also self-design it, right? So pick any 2 disciplines that you're interested in, and if you really want to pursue 2 degrees, you can explore that option too. So this is one way, right? Another way to think of the DDP programs is to treat it as DDP within CHS and DDP with a department outside CHS. Both are possible, right? So we have talked about this. If you're pursuing a DDP within CHS, this just means that the 2 degrees comes from CHS, right? You're doing 2 majors, 2 full majors from the list of majors in CHS, and it has to be 2 degree types. But you can also do a DDP with another department from another faculty or college of NUS. That's also fine, right? So just to remind you that because in CHS it's a direct honors degree, so when you do a DDP, when you get 2 degrees, automatically it will be 2 honors degree. Right? For a department outside CHS, you can also do a double honors, 2 honors degree. In fact, I think the university overall is moving towards a direct honor system, right? So moving forward, I believe that even for department outside CHS, they will also only be offering honors degrees. Right? Okay, so let me show you the list of structured DDP. Right? So these are what we have: computer science and mathematics, communication and BITS, right? So this is in collaboration with the business school. Econ and engineering, a lot of economics. Econ biz, econ law, econ business analytics, and econ information systems. So these 2 are actually in collaboration with School of Computing. Right? This is with law, engineering, this is with BITS. Right? So these are the structured DDP programs, right? Now, what are going to be the student design DDPs? Right? As we have said earlier, you can do it within CHS or with another department outside CHS. So student design DDP within CHS, we have talked about it earlier, right? You need to do 2 degree types. 1 BA, 1 B social science, 1 BA, 1 Bachelor of Science, right? 2 different degree types, and you need to fulfill the full major requirements of both degrees. You need to do at least 15 courses in each major. So these are some of the combinations that you can pursue, right? Just an example. And if you want to do a student design DDP with another department outside CHS, that's fine, right? One possibility is to pursue a DDP program with CDE, the College of Design and Engineering. If you're interested in doing something in engineering or design, you can check out their website here, right? So they have laid out the structure for student design DDP between the 2 colleges. But you can also choose any other discipline of your interest, right? For example, you can do psychology and business, right? This is not a structured DDP program, but you can self-design it, so on and so forth. Right? One thing I do want to mention here is that no matter what kind of DDP program you want to pursue, an application is actually necessary. If you want to do a second major or if you want to do a minor, right, as long as there is no special requirement from the second major or the minor, from that department, you don't have to apply, right? You can just do it. You can just take the courses and you're going to get your minor, you're going to get your second major. But not for DDP. If you want to do a double degree program, you need to apply. So this is just a brief introduction to how you do that. For structured DDP programs, these are actually also direct admission programs. So when you are entering the university, you're already in the program. But they also open for midstream application. And if you are interested in joining one of the structured DDP program midstream, you're going to need to apply after your first year of study. So please go to check out each respective DDP's website, right, for their entry requirements. Now for student design DDPs, right, so this is the common application framework. You need to apply after completion of 60 units or 80 units. What does this mean? Remember, you need to take in total 160 units to graduate, right? Over 4 years, which means on average, every semester you're going to take about 20 units. So this means that you need to apply usually after your 3rd or 4th semester, right? In your year 2, right? And at the point of application, you need to have fulfilled this minimum requirement on GPA and also on how many courses you have taken in your second degree, right? But let me emphasize that these are the minimum eligibility criteria, right? Meeting those criteria do not ensure that you're going to be admitted to the DDP program. Because the double degree program is more challenging, it has more work, right? So we want to make sure that you are ready for it, you're prepared, you know what you're getting yourself into. So the application process is actually competitive, right? So there is a quota for DDP application, right? Meeting the requirement doesn't guarantee your admission, okay? So for more information, you can check out the website or contact your dean's office, right, if you're interested in DDP. Now, in addition to DDP, we also have another special degree program, which we call the CDPs, the concurrent degree programs. And we have 2 CDPs here. So what does it mean? This basically means that you can finish with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in just 5 years. If you do them separately, usually you're going to need at least 6 years, right? So one possibility is to do a CDP in psychology. So this is available for students whose first major is in psychology. If you do a CDP in psychology, this means after 5 years, you're going to get a bachelor degree in psychology and also a master of social sciences in psychology. We also have another program, which is joint with the LKY, School of Public Policy, right? So this CDP is open to students who are in the following major: economics, political science, sociology, social work, and PPE. So if you're in one of these 5 programs, you are eligible to pursue this CDP. And by the time you graduate in 5 years, you're going to get your bachelor's degree and a master's degree in public policy. Okay? So you can also check them out on this website, right? Special degree programs. Right? So now I'll hand over to Joseph, and hopefully we still have some time for Q&A.
Okay. Right. My name is Joseph Park. I'm the co-vice dean of undergraduate studies, along with Professor Zhang, you just saw. Okay. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about study abroad programs a little bit briefly, because this is another kind of area that lots of students are interested in. So I'm not going to go into very much details because lots of information are online on our international programs and our faculty website. So I'll point you to those, but I just want to kind of point out the different categories of the study abroad opportunities that we have. So majority of students go on student exchange program, SEP, which is when you go abroad to study at another university for a semester or 2, right? So that's the kind of course that majority of students take. But we also have a small number of special degree programs with external universities. So these are cases where there's a setup kind of agreement between 2 universities where the students can either pursue a joint degree with that university or a double degree between NUS and that external university. So in this case, the students might spend 1 or 2 years abroad, fulfilling requirements of both universities. Okay. And NUS Overseas College Program is a kind of another kind of type of student exchange program that focuses on entrepreneurship. So in this case, you would go overseas and do an internship in another country while also taking some courses. So for example, you might go to Silicon Valley and do an internship in one of those companies there, while also kind of taking some courses related to your major or your entrepreneurship work, right? So that's another unique opportunity. And summer and winter programs are kind of shorter forms of exchange where you go abroad just during the semester break, right? So for example, during May to July, we have these special term summer break, where you can go overseas to take a short exchange program in another country, right? So in this case, it's short, so it's kind of less disruptive to your kind of life, okay? So these are some options. So I'll encourage you to kind of find out more about our websites online. But I did want to kind of emphasize the Fast Track Asia, which is NUS's own summer school. So during the special terms, we do kind of offer various kinds of courses. But this courses that belong to Fast Track Asia is special, right? Because they do have a unique kind of focus on Asia. and all the courses have a major kind of local field work or field trip kind of component, right? And this is also a very international program, so there's a lot of international students coming to participate in this program, right? So this is a kind of a distinct and unique experience you can have while kind of continuing to study at NUS during your semester break, right? So this is something I encourage you to kind of check out. Okay. All right. So for the rest of the talk, I'm going to quickly go through some of the kind of rules or regulations that you should be aware of. Okay. So the first thing is the qualifying English test. So you may have already kind of been contacted to take the qualifying English test. So this is something that students need to do some students need to do before taking FAS 1101, right? So as Professor Zhang kind of explained, the writing requirement for the CHS common curriculum is this FAS 1101 course, which fulfills that kind of writing requirement, right? But depending on your background, you may have contacted to kind of take the qualifying English test. And based on the outcome of your qualifying English test, you may be required to take up to 2 separate courses before you take FAS 1101, right? So in that case, it means that you would take the FAS 1101 a little bit later than your first or second semester, right? But that's okay, because in the long run, the purpose of these kind of program is to kind of bring you up to speed in the necessary skills in English language and writing before you pursue kind of higher level education at NUS, right? So if you are asked to kind of take these additional kind of courses before you move on to writing tests, don't be worried about it. Don't panic. It is meant to kind of support you to kind of move forward more smoothly in terms of your language skills. Okay. So for this, you would have already been contacted, or you will be contacted. So there's no separate things you need to do. Just follow along with that guidance that you're receiving. Okay. Right. So another thing is advanced placement credits. So as Professor Yang explained, you need to kind of finish 160 units in order to fulfill the requirements. But for some groups of people, some credit may be given in advance based on the things you did before you joined NUS, right? So for example, for Polytechnic diploma holders, 20 units of advanced placement credits will be given to you. And these 20 units can be used to fulfill the unrestricted elective category, right? So because 20 units is roughly equivalent to 1 semester of study, this means that you could possibly kind of graduate in 1 semester early than the other people, right? And people who have done H3 research project under the MOA HSSR scheme, then you'll be granted 4 units, which can be counted towards your major if the H3 subject that you did is in the same discipline as your primary major. Okay? All right. Okay. And also, we said that you need to kind of do 160 units in order to kind of fulfill the graduation requirements. But there's a limit on the number of 1,000 level courses you can take to satisfy that requirement. In other words, you can't fill up everything with 1,000 level courses because you need to have kind of a balanced courses across all 4 levels, right? So the limit on 1,000 level courses is 60 units. So up to 60 units of 1,000 level courses will be counted towards the total units required for graduation. It doesn't mean that you cannot take more than 60 units of 1,000 levels. It's just that if you do more than 60 units, it won't be counted towards your required kind of number of units for graduation. Okay, and there are some of the courses that are excluded from these limitations, these kind of things. Okay, so there's some exceptions to this. Okay, so this is another thing to bear in mind as you kind of plan your courses. Okay, right. So I'm going to skip over these and talk about the grading system first. Okay, so because this is kind of important thing that you need to be thinking of as you move through your program and thinking of your progress. Okay, so basically for every course that you take, there will be a grade. You'll be given a letter grade for every course that you have taken. So most of the cases, it will be one of these, okay, for which there are given grade points. So all courses that you take an A or A plus, then you'll be given 5 points, right? So A minus will be 4.5 and B plus will be 4 and so on, right? And on some limited cases, you will be given a different set of letter grade instead of these ones, okay? So let me quickly explain these because it's kind of important to know, right? So you'll receive EXE or exempted if, for example, based on the advanced placement credit scheme, you are exempted from taking a course, for example, right? So then it'll say EXE, right? And incomplete is a case where you basically produced passable quality of work throughout the semester, but let's say at the end of the semester, because of some emergency, you weren't able to take the final exam, for instance, right? Because of illness or something like that. So in that case, based on our evaluation, you might be given an incomplete grade, right? Meaning that you didn't complete the course, right? But it was of some passable quality, right? In some cases, you might give an in-progress grade. So in-progress grade means that you still, your final letter grade is still coming, but it is in progress, right? So in some cases, if you haven't been able to take the final exam because of some justifiable reason, you might be given the opportunity to fulfill that requirement at the beginning of the next semester, right? So in that case, until you actually finish the final exam and it's marked, right, you might be given an in-progress grade as a temporary placeholder for your course, right? And then later it will be converted to an actual letter grade like these based on your final outcome, right? And satisfactory and unsatisfactory, S and U, are marks that you will be given if you exercise what's called the SU option. So basically, if you have, which I'll talk about in a moment, right? So basically, if you score a D and above, you will be given a S for satisfactory. Or if you get an F and fail the course, then you'll be given unsatisfactory, okay? And some of the courses are special and they're not given these letter grades to begin with. And some courses only give out are graded based on CS or CU, meaning completed satisfactorily or completed unsatisfactorily, right? And you may also withdraw from a course that you registered for, okay? And as long as you withdraw before the withdrawal deadline, which usually comes during the recess week in the middle of the semester, then you'll be given a W grade, okay? Okay, so point about these is that these things do not have these grade points associated with them, and therefore they do not affect what we call the grade point average, which is an important number that you can use to check your progress in your studies at NUS, right? So basically, the GPA, grade point average, is calculated by multiplying the grade point that you received for the course you have taken with the number of units assigned for the course, right? So for example, if you got a B plus for a course and you it's a 4-unit course, then you multiply 4 by 4 and it's 16, for example, right? Okay, and then you add that up for all the courses you have taken, and then divide that by all the units assigned to the courses that you use to calculate this GPA, okay? So that sounds a little bit complicated, but actually it's very simple, right? So as an example, let's say after your first year, these are the courses you have taken, right? So you have taken various courses. So for example, HSI 1101 is a 4-unit course, and you've scored an A, and therefore you get a grade point for 5, okay? So once you have all these kind of 10 courses, you can calculate your GPA for the end of semester 2, which is you multiply 5 by 4, 5 and 4, right? And 3.5 and 5. So you multiply these together for all the courses and then add them up, okay? And then you add all the number of units for the courses you have used to calculate GPA. So in this case, what's notable is for HSA 1000, this student has exercised the SU option and received an S, okay? And as I said, for S, there's no grade point, okay? So in this case, because there's no grade point here, this is not included in the calculation for the GPA, right? So you don't add this in the calculation. So when you divide this total, you only use the grades, total number of grades for these 9 courses and not HSA 1000, right? So then the outcome is 3.13, okay? So the point about these grades that are not A to F is that when you receive these will not affect your grade point average, right? And the grade point average is kind of important because if you go back, for example, it figures in your continuation and graduation requirements, right? So, for example, the minimum GPA required for graduation is 2.0, right? So you want to stay above 2.0 definitely, right? And during your course of study, if your GPA falls below 2.0, then you'll be placed on probation, okay? And if the next semester, if you falls below the GPA 2.0 again, then you'll be dismissed from the university, right? So you can't have, so you want to kind of definitely move above 2.0 once you receive this probation, right? Okay, so therefore, calculating GPA and knowing where you are is important, right? And the GPA also figures in your honors classification, which you will receive when you graduate, right? So we have these kind of 5 different degrees of honors classification, and they're determined based on the GPA that you have, okay? So this kind of makes people nervous, right? So what we have is what's called a grade-free scheme, which allows students to take their courses with more peace of mind, particularly during their first and second year of study. Okay, so basically, what this means is that you can exercise the SU option for up to 32 units during your first 2 semesters, right? And if you haven't used these up, you can kind of transfer up to 12 units of them to the subsequent semesters as well, right? So the point about the grade-free scheme is that it's to encourage you to take different courses with peace of mind, right? So for example, I never studied economics before. Will I be able to handle an economics class? What if I get an F or something like that, right? You don't need to worry about it because you can give it a try. And if you don't do well, then you can exercise the SU option. So as long as you get a D and above, you'll get an S, for example, right? Okay. So some people get this grade-free scheme in a wrong way and think that, oh, this means that anything that's not an A, I should SU it so I can erase a B from my transcript. So there's only A's in it, right? That's not the point, right? So we want you to do well, but you don't want you to be kind of too obsessive of the number that's in the grade point average itself, right? The point of this grade-free scheme is to encourage you to explore new things and try out new things without being too worried about the outcome of how it will affect your grade point average, right? So please keep that in mind, right? So basically, what the grade-free scheme does, the SU's option is, if you declare that you will exercise the SU option for a particular course, if you get a D and above, you'll give an S grade, right? And as I said, this will not be factored into the GPA computation, but you will earn the units for that course that will count towards your degree completion requirements, right? And in case you get an F for the course, then you'll get a U grade, right? But in this case, again, it will be not factored into the GPA computation, so therefore it will not drag your GPA down, right? However, if you receive a U grade, that means that you didn't satisfactorily complete this course, and therefore you will not receive credit towards that degree. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind, right? So you can exercise the SU option for all 1,000 level courses and all 2,000 level courses that does not have another course as a prerequisite. Okay, so this is something to keep in mind. Okay, so again, then the opposite is that these are the kind of courses you cannot exercise the SU option for, right? So all level 2,000 courses that has a prerequisite, or level 3,000 above, and so forth, right? Okay. So another important thing is, when can you declare the SU option? So first, you can decide at the end of the semester. So basically, right after the exam results are released, for 3 days you can exercise the SU option, right? But if you didn't do it for example, at the end of semester 1, you can still think about it. At the end of the academic year, you can still have another chance to declare the SU option for the course you've taken during that academic year. Okay, so we are giving you a lot of time to think about this and to kind of exercise your SU option. But you have to remember that once you've made a declaration of SU option, then that's irrevocable. You cannot change it once you made that declaration, right? So we do want you to kind of make very careful, informed decisions when you declare the SU option, right? And these are some people you might think to and some resources you might turn to in making that kind of decision, right? And please also kind of be aware of when you can exercise the SU option, because if you miss that window, then you cannot exercise the SU option later on, right? So you'll be receiving these communications by the registrar's office. So please generally be always kind of mindful of any kind of message you receive, because you will often kind of receive many important messages regarding various deadlines and so forth. Okay. Okay. So a couple of things. Another important point about the things to keep in mind, right? So, as we said, for the module for the program, normally we're all going to kind of have 160 units to fulfill your program, right? So this first line is actually not relevant anymore, because that's for the non-honors programs, which we don't have anymore, right? So for each program, we have what's called a normal candidature period, okay? So if you're doing a single degree, that kind of requires 160 units to complete. So most of you doing a single major, okay, then the normal candidature period is 8 consecutive semesters. Basically, you do it in 4 years, right? For those of you doing a double degree program, the normal candidature period can either be 9 or 10 semesters, depending on whether you're doing a single major or a single honor or a double honor, right? As Professor Yang said, mostly we're going to be double honors. So in that case, it'll be 10 consecutive semesters, right? This is important to keep in mind because it has implications for the tuition that you have to pay, okay? So basically, if you go beyond the normal candidature period, because most of you are paying subsidized fees, if you go beyond the normal candidature period, your fees will gradually increase, so that when it's the third semester past your normal candidature period, you'll end up paying a full non-subsidized fees. Okay, so this is important to keep in mind, right? Because it has implications for the fees you have to pay, right? So as much as possible, try to stay within this consecutive normal candidature period, right? And plan your courses and your study progression accordingly. Okay. Okay. So we're almost out of time. So I just want to quickly kind of talk about these points to finish up. Okay. So there are certain kinds of aspects of academic culture that we want you to kind of bear in mind, right? So first one is kind of independence, right? So in terms of your own learning, you have to be take responsibility for your own learning, right? So you need to take initiative in your own learning, right? So don't expect your professors or teachers to kind of feed you knowledge or what you need to do in terms of progressing through your own study program, right? Now you're a university student and you're in charge of your own learning, so you need to take the initiative to kind of know what the requirements are and know what kind of direction you want to go in terms of your study and so forth, right? Okay. And the second point is about engagement and interaction, right? So all NUS students are expected to be active participants in a community of learning, right? So I said we need to be independent, but that doesn't mean we need to be isolated, right? And actually, learning happens best when we're actively engaging with others, right? So in your classroom, always be active. You should really actively contribute to class, right? By participating in discussions and sharing your thoughts with other people and so forth, right? And be an active member of the community and speak to other people about your thoughts and everything. And particularly important is if you have any difficulties, either in your study or in your social life, please feel free to reach out to others, right? So that you can receive help and so forth, right? And the final point is integrity, right? Students must exercise academic honesty and refrain from plagiarism or cheating and so forth, right? So this is very important because NUS does take academic integrity very seriously, okay? So I do want to emphasize this. So NUS does take academic integrity very seriously, and there can be very serious consequences if there's some violation of such academic integrity, right? So for example, avoiding plagiarism, I mean, you all know that, right? But you need to be very careful about what you precisely understand what counts as plagiarism, right? So for example, you should not pass on for something that you kind of produced by ChatGPT as part of your own writing, for instance, right? Okay, and when you make sure you always kind of what you write and submit in your name is really written by yourself, right? So for example, if you kind of study together with a classmate and you kind of produce notes together, in that case, you should be still writing up your own answers in your own words. Otherwise, it'll be kind of, copying from what other people have produced, right? So these things are very important. So I very strongly encourage you to familiarize yourself with the kind of rules of what counts as plagiarism, for example, right? And what are the rules that you need to follow, for example, in the exams and so forth, right? Okay. So there will be be kind of brief presentations on these matters as well. So please pay attention to them as well. Okay. All right. So we're kind of out of time, but I guess we can try to answer some of the questions at least that you kind of put onto Poll Everywhere. Okay. How do you want to do this? So in the meantime, if you have any other questions that are not answered by this, these are general kind of contact points you can always reach out to. So feel free to kind of keep this in mind. Okay.
Is it on the screen? No?
Can I help you select?
What are the most asked questions?
Shall we select it?
From the consultation to set up first while we do the Q&A. Yeah.
Can we take minors outside of CHS? That's
Mine's setting up first while they do the Q&A. Yeah, great.
Oh, this is two, right? Look at this. Okay, so let me try to address some common questions. Can I take a double degree in a CHS major along with a separate course not under CHS? The answer is yes, I believe, right? You can take a double degree with one degree from CHS and the second degree from another faculty outside CHS, okay? For double degree, is it possible to have a degree from other faculty? Yes. Can you take a major plus second major plus minor? You can, but that would actually require you to do more modules or more courses, right? So this means that you will have to take more than 160 units, and you will probably need to overload in certain semesters. But I mean, that's possible, right? But you need to think carefully whether that's something you want to do, right? Because we also don't want you to be overworked. There was another question earlier. Is there any recording of today's talk and slides? The answer is yes, right? Are there any prerequisite for psychology? No. No prerequisite. Anyone, if you want to do psychology, you can just declare it as your major. Are the pre-allocated modules class timings also decided for us in our schedule? Or do we bid for the different timing classes? Okay, so the pre-allocated courses, the schedule is decided, you can't choose, but as you know, many of our classes have both the lecture and tutorial, right? The lecture time slot is decided for you if it's pre-allocated, but you can choose your own tutorial slots, okay? I think that's probably the most highly rated questions. So if your questions are not answered, please write to us, right? You can write to Fast Help or ask CHS, and we'll try to answer your questions. So I think now we can pass the time to Daniel.
Thank you. So thank you, Profs, for the speech. So now we would be speaking with Dr. Daniel Chan, who is the Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Studies at FAS, and he would be sharing with us more on the course rec system, how you would be bidding for your modules, and also the NUS module system, and answering any of the questions you may have. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, and very welcome to all of you. So I'll be talking to you about the course rec system. Course rec actually stands for course registration system, which you will need to use to select the courses that you will be taking or manage the courses that you're taking. Okay, so first of all, this was already mentioned by Prof. Zhang earlier, the common curriculum, so it's just a refresher. Okay, so as you know, there are 3 components to the common curriculum. There is the common core courses, there are 6 of them, and these are the 6 of them, right? And then you have the 5 integrated courses, which are domain specific, and then you have the 2 inter-D courses, okay, 1 and 2. All right. So now, so among all these different courses, there are 2 types of courses. There are those courses that are compulsory that you have to take, so they'll be pre-allocated to you. And then there are those courses that you can sort of choose, and therefore you have to go into the system and select them yourself. All right. So for pre-allocated courses, okay, so these are the courses that are pre-allocated to you. There are 3 broad categories. The first row you see up there, those are integrated courses, and there are 4 of them. So out of the 5 integrated courses that you saw earlier, 4 will be pre-allocated to you. Okay, so the one that's not pre-allocated is Scientific Inquiry 2, which you can pick from a basket of different courses. And then there are the common core courses. There are 3 here, and actually earlier on you should have seen 6, right? So there are only 3 out of 6 that are pre-allocated to you. And then there's the gateway course, which you will be allocated to depending on what you have declared as your first major. Okay. So there's a total of 4 plus 3 plus 1. That's about 8 courses already. And with 8 courses, generally you think that there's no more space for any other courses, right? Okay. So this is when you will need to do your when will these courses be allocated to you. For the integrated courses, they'll be allocated in pairs, right? So any of the 2 randomly will be given to you in SEM 1 and the other 2 in SEM 2. As for the common core, you have one module that's on data literacy and the other one on design thinking, okay? And one will be in 1 semester each. And finally, the writing module that's compulsory for everyone in FASS, you will do it either in semester 1 or 2, depending on how they are allocated. So do take note that for this FAS 1101 writing module, if you have to do English proficiency course, you will need to pass those ES 1000 or ES 1103 first before you are allowed to take FAS 1101. And then there's the gateway module, of course, I mentioned earlier. So this gateway module is dependent on your declared first major, right? And you will need to, of course, do a declaration. APD stands for Academic Plan Declaration, and that has to be done by the 21st of July at 12 noon in order for you to see the pre-allocated module or gateway module in gateway course in the system. Okay. Trying to get used to the new terminology. Okay, so notes on pre-allocation. I've mentioned earlier that for the integrated courses, you'll be pre-allocated any 2 of the 4 randomly. So there's HSA, which stands for Asian Studies, right? And then there's HSH for Humanities, HSI, which is Scientific Inquiry, HSS, which is Social Sciences. So 2 randomly for the first semester, 2 randomly for the second semester, and then you will be given either the data literacy module or the other one is the design thinking module. Okay. For students in certain special programs, for example, if you are in U Town College program, you will be given this module in year 2 instead. Okay. For data literacy, you can actually choose to do a more advanced level course instead of the GA 1000. And to do that, you just need to go into the system and drop the course and choose the higher level one. Okay. Right. Any questions so far? Maybe I should flash the. You should just show you the QR code that you can scan, and then you can ask questions along the way. Okay. All right. So I'll go back to where I left off. Right. So I stopped here. Okay. Now, gateway courses. These are the courses that are prerequisites to the modules that you will be doing in your major or minor and so on. So you'll be expected to do at least one if you have decided what major that would be. If you have a second major, then you will need to do another gateway course. And they'll be pre-allocated to you generally in semester 1, unless it is so popular that it's already full house, then you'll be given the course only in semester 2. Okay. So like I said, you need to have declared a primary major via the Academic Plan Declaration, the APD, before 21st of July, 12 noon. If you have missed it, you can still select a gateway course by going in yourself by doing your declaration before the 25th of July, I think 25th. Okay, so those are the 2 dates, subject to quota availability. Now, so I mentioned this APD and APA. There's application and there's declaration. What's the difference between these two? Application is more for those majors and minors that are restricted. That means they are you have to be selected by the relevant departments to do those courses. Whereas open majors and open minors, and as well as primary majors, those are declared. Okay, you don't have to wait for anybody to approve. And these declarations are done before the course registration every semester, and you have to do it every semester. In other words, you can change your declaration after each semester if you want to. Whereas applications are done during reading week only, which is at the end of the semester. Okay. These are the timeline of events. You do the declaration from 19th of July, which is next Wednesday, and then you have 3 rounds of course selection, 2 rounds of tutorial selection, and 2 dates of add, swap, and drop tutorials. I said you need to do this declaration every year, every semester. You need to do this in order to participate in course rec, and at least 24 hours before the round 1 begins. If you have indicated your preference about what major you want to do before before this, you actually see that your major has been tagged in the system, and you can still change it. But if you have made any changes, you cannot change it back until the next semester. So be careful not to select to choose anything wrong until you are sure what you want to choose. Okay, to get access to this declaration, you just need to go to My EduRec. Under my homepage, you will see academics and academic plan declaration. Okay, there's also a guide, step-by-step guide that has been prepared for you by the registrar's office. So this is the process, right? You begin by submitting the academic plan declaration, and you need to know what your degree requirements are, all right? So look at the courses, it's up to you. And you have to ask yourself if you have simulated the desired timetable. This is important because you don't want to have any clashes between your courses or tutorials. So you can do this by going to this website called NUS Mods. You see NUS Mods, okay? And you can submit the courses via CourseRack. So I'll show you. Yeah, this is the website for simulating your timetable. So you can actually just select the courses. You can see straight away what the number of course credits that you obtain. And you can see if there's any clash. So when you do this, make sure you include the tutorials or lab work into the timetable because there mustn't be any clash. Okay, right? So clashes are not supported by faculties. Appeals are only considered if you are in your final semester and need 2 courses to graduate. So if you have 2 courses, 2 core courses that you need to take, and they clash, and you're in the final semester, then we might consider giving you the waiver of the clash. Okay, and if you are registered in a particular course, you must make sure that you have all the components in the timetable. Like if you have lectures, tutorials, they must be in there and not clashing with any other components of any other courses. The workload policy, you have to do a minimum of 18 MCs per semester, and the maximum you are allowed to do in your first semester is 23 units. Sorry, units, not MCs. And so 18 units minimum for first semester, and maximum of 23. Okay. After the first semester, you are allowed to do up to 32 units if your GPA is within 3.2 to 5, or 26 units is within 2 and 3.19, and 23 units is less than 2. Okay. If you are in double degree programs, concurrent degree programs, and special programs, you can bid up to 27 MCs in the first semester because your workload is already naturally heavier than the others. Okay, so please take note that you will not be selecting many courses in year 1, right? Because you have already all these pre-allocated courses. Remember that you need to select tutorials and labs. Declare your major by 21st July, 12 p.m. if you want your gateway courses to be pre-allocated to you. If not, you have to select yourself and using CourseRack by 25th of July. In other words, you need to do it by 25th of July at the very latest. Okay, so this is the course registration. It's done between July 26th to August 8th. And okay, so these are the functions in the CourseRack system. You will see view my classes. So when you have enrolled in a class successfully, you will see it in this section. And you want to select courses, you need to go to this part called Select Courses. Okay, and all the rest are not relevant unless you are, okay, this is selecting tutorials and labs. For adding and swapping labs or tutorials, dropping classes. About dropping classes, you must make sure that you drop your classes by a certain date, okay? So if you, okay, I'll come back to that later. I'll talk about priority scores first. So you will be given, sorry, let me go back. So how does this work? How do we grant you the courses that you have selected? It's based on your priority score. The priority score is made of 3 components. How essential is this course for your major, and how senior you are in your academic career, and whether you ranked it as first, second, or third choice in your ranking preference. So you will multiply these 3 and you get a score. Now, program requirements. These are the programs that are ranked by order of how important. So if you are in UTown, you'll be given a higher order of points and so on. Seniority, if you're in the last year, obviously you will probably need to, it's more urgent for you to do the course, so you will be given more, 4 points, for example. And rank preference, if you have ranked it as number 1, you'll be giving it the most number of points. So when you have vacancies in the course, this is when tiebreakers can come in if the demand, for example, is higher than the available number of places. Okay, so we will consider, in this case, for tiebreakers, that if you have not attained minimum workload, then if for two students, one has attained minimum workload, one has not attained minimum workload, then we'll give the student, the student who has not attained minimum workload, the priority to take this course. And if the home faculty is the same as the course host faculty, so for example, if you are doing a psychology course and you are from Chinese studies, then you might be given a higher priority than somebody who is doing from the science faculty. Course feedback points. At the end of every semester, you'll be asked to give feedback on your course, and if you do this feedback, you will be given points, and these points will count towards tiebreakers. As well as course planning exercises. This is when we might ask you to tell us in advance what are the courses you want to take. And if you take part in these exercises, you'll be given points as well, CPX points. And finally, if there are no other, if all being equal, then you'll look at random balloting. So the luck of the draw. Okay. So we only use tiebreakers when students have the same priority score and the demand exceeds available places, right? I mentioned that earlier already. Yep. Okay, so let's look at this scenario. There are two students, Sam and Jen, and they both selected a history course. And one is in history major, the other one is in sociology major, but second major in history. So who do you think will be given this course? Sam or Jen? Why? Yeah, it's more essential for him than for Jen, right? So it will be Sam because it's the first major that is more that primes over second major. So, yep, we saw this here. Okay. Now, scenario 2, Ariel and Belle have selected a psychology course, and the difference is that one is a life science major, one is a social work major. Why Belle? She's from the home faculty where the psychology is being offered, right? So both are from the host faculty, and students' home faculty are the same. So now there are 3 rounds to select your courses. Why are there 3 rounds? The first round is to protect. Okay, these are the dates of the 3 rounds. About 2 days each, about a week apart every time. And round 1 is protected round. Okay, you will have this round to make sure that students who are offering, who need the courses for their major or their specialization, get to do it, get to be given those courses over everyone else. And then round 2 and 3 are open rounds. Everybody can select any course. Okay. This is a guide that you can refer to by the registrar's office. Now, when you go into the system, you might see something called vacancy and popularity. So vacancy tells you how many places there are left in the course. Popularity tells you how many students have selected this course. Okay, so for example, take note that you will need to add backup options for each rank. Okay, for example, this is rank number 1 for this particular course, CS2040. And you can add reserved classes. In case you don't get this one, you have some reserved classes that can be considered. So they are to indicate next preferred course in case the main list course is not successfully selected. Now, okay. So this thing about popularity. Popularity shows you how many people have selected the course as in their main list. If they have selected it in their reserve list, it will not show up in the number of students selected. Okay. So popularity only tells you how many students have selected the course for in the main list. Now for tutorial registration and other course rec functions. So the timeline is this: you select tutorials from 15th of August. And then round 2 is 2 days later. And then a week later, that's when you can add, drop, or swap tutorial slots. How do you select tutorials? Now, first of all, you must have had your course lecture class registered. It's not first come, first serve. It's based on, okay, in each of the 2 rounds, you decide what classes you want, which tutorial classes you want, and then you rank the classes, the time slots, by order of importance, 1 to 20. If the demand exceeds supply, then everybody gets allocated the preference. If the demand exceeds supply, demand does not exceed supply. If the demand exceeds supply, then you'll be balloting, and only those that are lucky will get the slots. So how do you rank your tutorials? Now, what's the difference between this on the left and this on the right? Why is this wrong? Yeah, this person has only selected courses for one particular module. Then what happened to all the other modules? Okay? Yeah, so this is very, very bad strategy. Now, after select tutorials round 2, during the add swap period, you add tutorials on a first come first serve basis, so long as there's vacancy. So you just go in and select, and you can post a swap request if, let's say, you prefer a different timing, and see if somebody else wants your time slot. You can submit an appeal via CourseRec if you cannot secure a tutorial in the add swap period. So if you cannot get the tutorial slots that you want, you can submit an appeal through the system. There's a function there that says submit appeal. And then in the event that a tutorial group is cancelled, let's say, for example, there are only 2 students in the tutorial group, so it's too small to open a class, and we will close the class. Then you'll be told that this class is closed, and you can make alternative arrangements. If you cannot find a suitable tutorial group, please drop the course, or the faculty will drop it on your behalf by week 5. Okay? Now, how do you check the classes that you are registered in? Now, in the CourseRec, you will see View My Classes, right? So click View My Classes, you will see all the classes that are allocated to you. And if you have done the CourseRec rounds, one day after the round has ended, you will also see the courses appear here. How do you drop courses? Okay, dropping of courses can be done so long as the remaining number of units meet the minimum workload requirement, which is how many units? 18. So if you drop it, then all the classes that are associated, like lectures, tutorials, and labs, will also be dropped. And if you drop only a tutorial, you will still be enrolled in the course, because you will need to find another tutorial. You cannot drop courses during the F grade period, which is quite advanced, much later in the semester already. So basically, there are two cut-off points. This is W grade period. W stands for withdraw. So if you drop it before the W grade, you will still see a W on your transcript. If you drop it after the W grade, you will get an F. Okay? So don't wait too long to do it. So these are the 2 periods. One is 28th of August. You will get the W grade. You will appear on your transcript, but you cannot SU, and your GPA is not affected. But if you do it only after the 2nd of October, you will get an F grade. You cannot SU, and your GPA will be affected. Now, tips for appeals. All your appeals must be submitted through CourseRec, okay? And you must select the correct appeal type. Do not submit multiple appeals for the same thing. So you check carefully what are the different types of appeals. For example, here it says unable to fulfill requisites, or issues while selecting course in round 0, round 1 to 3, and so on. You want to waive your maximum workload or minimum workload. Okay. Tutorial appeals, if your slot has not been secured from add swap round, submit appeal through CourseRec from 22nd of August to 1st of September. And if you have not had any slot, maybe pre-allocated any available slot on a random basis, provided there's no other clash with your other current courses. Okay. So in other words, if you don't select a group, we'll select one for you. Okay, so if you need any information or assistance, you can refer to these places. And these are some numbers that you can call, email. And finally, questions. Oh, cannot see from the.
It's a bit more easier.
Can you appeal to do more than 23 units in the first semester? You cannot, yeah. So basically you're supposed to take, you're supposed to not be too ambitious in the first semester and just take it easy, you know, get to be familiar with the system and all that. So do not do more than 23 units. What's QET? QET? Oh, okay. QET 1 and QET 2. Okay. So I don't understand the question. Is this if I'm unable to take QET 1 and will be taking QET 2? So what's the question? If you don't declare a major, what pre-allocated major gateway modules will you get? Okay, so if you don't declare a major, what's likely to happen is that you will assign one randomly for you, and yeah. There are some questions that I can't really answer. Like
I mean, you can just answer the mod rec related, but we won't assign randomly. If they don't declare a major, then you will not be.
Okay. Sorry, if you don't declare any major, you will not be given any gateway modules. So you have to declare. No. Okay. 7 more responses. Okay, so somebody asked, what courses are you registering for if they are already pre-allocated? So that's what we said. If for semester 1 you don't need to do much because most of the courses are already pre-allocated. But from semester 2 onwards, you need to start to use this more. And besides, if you have pre-allocated modules for semester 1, it doesn't mean that you have you might have one slot left that you can choose. So you can still use the system to select courses. Somebody asked if I only declare my double major in year 2, do I only take the gateway module then? I think if you already know what your major is, you should declare it earlier on. And yeah, if you wait till year 2, then you'll probably have to wait till year 2 to take your gateway modules and all the other modules. Sorry, MC is actually the wrong term. The new term is units, so course units. So modular credits have now been converted to units. So what, do you mean that we have to drop a course before 28th of August so that the W won't be reflected in our transcript? Yes. So in order not to have anything appear at all on your transcript, you have to drop your module before the W grade takes place, which is 28th of August. Okay? So within the month of August, you must drop your module. What's the difference between SU and W? SU is basically pass-fail and W is withdraw. Yeah, so for undeclared majors, no gateway courses will be pre-allocated to you. When will we know which courses are pre-allocated to us? 24 hours after the round has ended. Sorry, pre-allocated modules. You should see it from round 0, right? Yeah, round zero at the beginning when you go in. So if you want to drop the For example, for data literacy, you want to drop the module to get a higher level one, you can do so, drop it, and then select the higher level data literacy course. Okay, so somebody asked for DTK 1234 and FAS 1101, are there any lectures? On NUS mods, when I try to put it in my timetable, no lectures are shown. That's because only tutorials are available. The course is only tutorials, I believe. Anyway, FAS 1101 is writing module. There are no lectures. There are mostly tutorials. There are only tutorials. If I take mods, if I take courses that fulfill certain pillars, do I still have to take the core mods of those certain pillars? No, you already fulfilled the requirement for those pillars. Where do we declare our major? Okay, in the academic plan declaration, or that in EduRec you will see. What's your EduRec? Yeah. Here. In my EduRec, my homepage, academic plan declaration, that's where you will see the icon for academics and the icon for academic plan declaration, and that's where you will do your declaration. Yeah. Your phone just... Are there any other burning questions that are not answered? Okay. Okay. There are some courses on NUS mods that have duplicates with HM after the code. What does the HM mean? HM is for cohorts that are 2021 and before. So, right. So they don't concern you. Can I drop my second major in year 1, Sem 1 when I have chosen? Can I drop my second major in year 1, Sem 1 when I have chosen before entering uni? What does it mean? Sorry. After getting a W grade for a course, can we still take the course in the different semester? They can, right? Oh, yeah, they can. Okay. Okay. I think that is it. Does it mean we cannot start our minors in semester 1? Actually, can they start the minors in semester 1? You can start taking your minor courses from semester 1. You just don't have to declare it until later on.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so you can start your minor whenever, right? But for semester 1, if you're already pre-allocated all 5 courses, this means that you don't have any space to choose another one, right? If you're pre-allocated 4 courses, then you still have 1 free, and you can decide what to take for that particular course, right? So, and likely you may want to choose it for your major instead of your minor. So let me just, because I saw one question earlier, for students who are in structured DDP, right? If you're already in a structured DDP program, in the first semester you can take 27 units. The 23 units is only for the single degree program students, right? So because for DDP students, you need to take more courses, so you are allowed a higher quota for the units you need to do every semester. So if your questions are not answered, right, because we probably need to move on to the next session, right? So you can still write to us, write to Fast Help, right, or write to Ask CHS, and we will address your questions. Okay?
Hello everyone, hope you're not overloaded with the information just yet. So next up, we have the career team at FAIRS to speak with us about how career readiness is like implemented into your 4-year program at CHS. So yeah, do just stay tuned with us as we set up. Thank you.
Oh, I will. Wait, I can pass one mic to you. One mic to you? You. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Hi everyone, we'll be starting the careers panel shortly. So in the meantime, if you all have any questions, because we will be having a Q&A section later, you can scan this QR code to submit your questions for the careers panel. Okay, I'll flash the QR code again later, so I'll move on. Okay, so our agenda for today, we will welcome the panelists and then also we will have a short sharing session. Okay. So for our panelists today, we have 3 speakers, starting with Prof. Nicholas Horn. He is the Vice Dean for our External Relations and Student Life team, followed by Mr. Wei Ye from CFG, and our student rep will be Ethan. Okay. So I'll now pass the time on to Prof. Horn to do the short sharing.
Can you all hear? Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. I know it's wet weather and all that, so very nice to see so many of you all here. So the one of the things that is built into CHS is career preparation, and offering training and some support for this, right? So we actually have a team at the faculty that works on career preparation. So all the members are up on the screen. They're actually all here as well, but I won't go through all of them. Like I said, one of the things that we built into CHS is this idea of offering some level of career preparation opportunities, right? And we've done this in a fairly organized way. Can we have the next slide? Yeah, thank you. We've organized this in a fairly structured way, and it's something called Career Compass, right? So this is available to all CHS students. And Career Compass essentially, and that's what I want to introduce to you today, right, is this program which is lasts the full 4 years that you're going to be with us. Now, it's not like you do a lot every year, right? Everything's just a little bit, right? But basically the idea here is that, well, first of all, we're not suggesting that when you talk about career preparation, right, you're not suggesting that you need to know right now exactly what you're going to do and then start gearing towards that. I don't think that's the point. I think the idea here really with career preparation is that it's just about gaining the relevant skills and exposure you might need to give you the best possible chance of success when you start applying for your job, right? Okay, next slide. So there are actually lots of benefits to this. I think one of them is exploring, trying to figure out what your passion might be, trying to figure out what you're really interested in. Some of you might be very clear about your career path, but probably not all are like that. So it's important during these 4 years to try and figure this out. And that's one thing. The other thing, of course, is that, if you want to do well in your career and so on, there's certain skills you might need. Communication skills, interpersonal skills, things like that. And so we have actually curated a whole bunch of activities that you can choose to do each year, right? So the idea is not that this is going to be a massive time investment on your part. Every year, the idea is that you just do a little bit. right? So that at the end of the day, when you leave us, you've got some experience, right, or some exposure to what the working world is like, and so you have a sense of what you're entering into, and then also you've had some training in, or at least you've acquired some of the skills that will be very useful for this, right? So it's bite-sized chunks, and then you put them all together, and after 4 years you get quite a robust package. So there's actually quite a lot of details to this, which I won't go into, but I think one important thing is that we've got a lot of activities, and Wei Ye will now actually tell you about many of the resources that we have. But I would like to end my part with this. Because there are so many activities, and a lot of these things are very, very useful, it's very important that if you want to get the best out of this, because there's so many different things, you should choose wisely in a deliberate and thoughtful way, right? So some level of self-awareness is very important. If you know, hey, actually, I'm very good at language, but I want to know how, I'm not so sure how to communicate in a work setting, there are courses for that, and those are the sorts of things you should maybe gravitate towards, right? I think this is a huge opportunity to actually broaden your scope and to prepare yourself, right, for what's to come. I hope that you will take this opportunity and use it very, very wisely, right, and in a thoughtful way. Okay, so that's it from me. I will now pass it on to Wei Ye, who will tell us about the various sorts of resources that are available.
Thank you, Prof. Good morning, everyone. I'm Wei Ye from NUS Center for Future Ready Graduates, which is the career center for the university. I just want to say, first off, congratulations for getting into the top 10, one of the top 10 universities in the world, right? Congrats. I had to appeal in, so I know from first-hand experience that it's actually a lot harder to get into NUS than to the likes of UCL, King's, or even McGill in Canada, right? It's really hard to get into NUS, so congratulations for making the cut. Now that you are here, you might think that you are set for life, right, until the retirement age of 75 for you all probably, or even 85 for your generation, but really it is just the start of your transition from a student to a lifelong learner and to a professional. And that's where we at the Center for Future Ready Graduates will come in, right, to help you smoothen the transition. And for this, we have created this career readiness roadmap. As you can see in the slides, I'm not going to run through the whole roadmap because you probably wouldn't remember anything anyway. But suffice to say that the roadmap provides you with a reference and a guide on the steps that you could take throughout your 4 years of studies, right, in NUS. And all this are actually mapped back to Career Compass series that Prof. Horn mentioned earlier, right? So refer to the map, use it as a guide on like the things that you could do during the 4 years in NUS to ready yourself for your career when you graduate. But I guess the most immediate for you all, right, as incoming freshmen would be our 2-unit CFG 1002 Career Catalyst. It's a career preparation foundational module or course that will help you kickstart your career exploration. So look out for that course during your SEM 1, right, and actually do register for it when you start the new semester. Next slide, please. So to augment the roadmap, right, CFG actually provides quite a number of different resources, including AI-powered tech tools and platforms to scale our services. Because I am in between you all and lunch, I will use this mnemonic device called EAT, EAT, to illustrate how you could use some of the tools. So E is for explore your career interests, right, which I think Prof. Horn also mentioned earlier. You can actually join Connect Us, which is a gated community platform for NUS students and alumni and peers to network with one another. So you can join the platform to reach out to your seniors or peers for mentorship and guidance, right, including some of your alumni, right, on the careers that they've been on, right, the jobs that they have landed, the companies that they are with. You can also use Career Plus app to identify skills gaps and recommend courses that you can take to upskills yourself. That's for E. After that is to really apply what you have learned, right, to the industries, right. Once you have set sight on your potential interests, you can actually test the water by applying what you've learned. And you can start with like virtual work experiences on Forage. You can also do side projects or gigs on IaaS platform. And then after that, go for internship on NUS Talent Connect, right, to gain experience, actual industry experience, to help you land that coveted job or internship. And that's where you need to take the breath away, right? Take the recruiter's breath away and wow them with your application, with your resume, and with your cover letter. And for this, you can actually use platforms like VMock, which is AI-powered, to give you feedback, immediate feedback on your resume, as well as on your video interviews, for instance. Of course, all this tech will just help you that much, right? We actually have dedicated career advisors who will journey with you along the way, the 4 years of your life in NUS, right? And these are the faces that you will be seeing. If you don't know what industries you are interested in, come and have a chat with us, maybe even over meals or drink. If you are applying to companies and you're not hearing back from them, come and have a chat with us too, to run through your application. If you are getting calls but not clearing interviews, come and have a chat with us and practice your face-to-face interviews with our career advisors. So we actually work very closely with the faculty and the departments, right, to support your seniors as well. And from the most recent graduate employment survey for the class of 2022, you see that over 9 in 10 of them actually secured employment within 6 months of graduation. And the median gross monthly salary actually increased to about 4,000 a month, higher than the previous batch, right, in the class of 2021. And you notice that graduates who did at least one internship actually got higher starting salary than those who did not do any internships at all. So we highly encourage you all to consider at least going for one internship during your studies. A similar pattern is actually observed throughout the whole university, not just for FASS graduates. So where do your seniors go? They land up in employment opportunities across various industries and job functions. Of course, for FASS graduate, the top 3 industries are usually your public sector, financial services, and infocom and technology. And these are some of the employers that your graduates ended up in. Next slide, please. Now, some of you all might be thinking it's still early days, right? You have not even started university. So why should you be even thinking about career planning? And some of your seniors may tell you likewise. And indeed, I think it's the different strokes for different folks, right? We've worked with graduates who've secured awesome employment opportunities, even though they only started their job search after graduation. But it's a lot harder, I can tell you that. We've also seen graduates who struggled because they didn't start planning early. And so we just want to present the information to you all to help you all make informed decisions, right? And you will see that there is a difference between campus recruitment and open hiring. Campus recruitment in universities, usually employers will reach out to target schools for employment opportunities of fresh grads, right? And campus recruitment is usually seasonal. They have a fixed cycle that they will adhere to, right? And they're usually very structured in terms of their shortlisting processes and what they look out for. Many employers actually offer summer internships to penultimate year students in their year 3, and then they'll offer full-time offers, right, to interns who did well, so that by the time you are in your final year, you don't even have to worry about job search. You've already secured an offer. So you can just focus on your honors thesis or your dissertation. For a 4-year program, penultimate year is in your year 3, right? So you might think that, oh, there's still 3 years to go. There's still some runway, but it's actually not true. So if you look at the example I highlighted, right, for Goldman Sachs Summer Analyst 2024 position, right, that's open to the penultimate year, right? The application is actually from March this year until August, so it's closing soon, which means that your senior who are currently in their year 2s, right, going on to year 3, will actually need to apply now if they want to secure the summer internship in 2024. That means that by the time it's your turn, right, probably in your year 2, SEM 2, to your year 3, SEM 1, you will also be applying for the same summer internships for the following year, right? So that's the timeline that you should take note of if that's something that you are gunning for. So just take note. I will end my sharing with just 3 points. 1 is start planning early, 2 is eat, and 3 is eat with your career advisors. At least once a year, if not more often. So just book an appointment with us and come and have a chat. Thank you. I will now pass on to the student representative, Ethan.
Thanks, Mr. Loh and Prof. Hon and the team for inviting me part of the panel. A very good morning to everyone. My name is Ethan. I'm an incoming third-year undergraduate studying political science and economics here at NUS. And because my major is political science, by virtue of that, I'm part of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, or FASS for short. And because I'm coming into my third year, I'm actually part of the pioneer batch of CHS students, or the pioneer generation, if you can call that. So thanks for inviting me again. I believe I'm here on the panel to give that student kind of view. But just to caveat, I do not represent all the students' views. I'm just simply sharing my own experiences as well as my views and opinions about my journey. And to best talk about my journey, I would like to take you on a trip back to what I was feeling when I was a matriculating student coming into year one at NUS. So after 2 years of NS, I did not have that academic rigor that I used to have back in school, so I was quite lost as well. It was quite daunting as well. And when I was faced with the CHS system, which was very new at that point, I was faced with all these modules, and they were compulsory as well. So, I mean, despite me majoring in political science, I had to kind of take modules in science, which I kind of wanted to steer away in JC. But obviously with hindsight, I really see the benefits of really participating in that kind of system. But I won't really focus too much on the CHS modules per se. I'll mainly focus on the Career Compass modules, as well as the module offered by the CFG 1002 module, as well as my experiences going through that. So again, entering into the system was very daunting, and especially looking at the Career Compass modules, they were, this was my opinions at the very first, the first start of year one. It was 0 credits, which means that I was questioning to myself, why would I have to spend so much effort on a 0 credit module, and I have to just get a pass or fail kind of grading system? So I came into that mentality into year one, and because of that, I just had I wanted to finish that module and get it out of the way, that kind of mentality to it. But then I realized after going through the module, the Career Compass module, just for context, every single year of your candidature in NUS, so your year 1 to your year 4, you'll be enduring, or you'll be having to participate in a Career Compass module, right? So you have 4 Career Compass modules to participate in. So after kind of attacking the module firsthand and to kind of get it out of the way, that was my thinking back in year 1, I realized the benefits of the module. So part of the requirements as part of the module is that you attend internship briefings, is that you attend career counseling briefings as well. You really share your views as to what you experience. And I really found value of participating in this module. And as part of to clear your Career Compass requirements, you can actually participate in a module called CFG 1002. I think the application opened up yesterday, 10th of July. So you can participate in this CFG 1002 module. It's worth 2 credits, and it can take a big chunk out of the requirements for your Career Compass module, at least for your first year. And I really found value in the system because there's a platform, amazing platform, I think Mr. Loh mentioned just now, called VMOC. So VMOC is an AI-powered platform. They really go through your resume and they compare it across all the different resumes that have been uploaded there, and they really kind of give you feedback as to what to do to improve your resume. And there's also a program to actually visualize your interview. So you can practice interviews with them. They can assess your facial expressions and your body language. And I really found that this module really benefited me for what was to come. So after going through these modules and really realizing the benefits, this gave me the confidence in interviews. I'm not going to say that this module gave me the confidence, and it was only this module that gave me the confidence, but this module definitely helped me boost some sort of confidence that I did not find myself really being comfortable with when I first started into NUS. So this module, the CFG 1002 module, really gave me that experience with interviews, and because of this, I was able to navigate interviews that I'm currently being part of, or rather the result of that interview. So currently I'm interning at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. If I'm going there later, I'm taking leave this morning to come here to talk to you. So I was able to basically pass that interview because I really felt courageous, as well as all these different feelings that you get after practicing your interview, right? And I used that VMOC system as a starting place, and then I used to practice interviews with my fellow friends and people who wanted to get into different careers, right? So we use that as a baseline, and without that Career Compass module and without the CFG module, I don't think that I would have been able, arguably, to secure the internship that I'm currently doing. And it's not only, and the modules that you do with CFG do not only allow you access to careers. So for me, I actually took on this and extrapolated it. And currently, I'm actually part of executive committees, or rather, I'm part of the executive committee in a society in NUS. Outside of NUS, I participate in quite a number of volunteering activities. And because of this confidence that I built through this module, the CFG module, it transcended all these different boundaries and I was able to really realize myself. So that's kind of a nutshell as to what the benefits I derived from that particular module. I think time is running out soon, but I'll just quickly give you some words of advice from a senior to a kind of a group of, I see myself and you, right? I mean, I was very timid coming in, not knowing what to expect, but I guess these sharings are very important and are very useful. So some takeaways is that do not compare yourself to your peers. Some peers are on that fast track. They have their career planned out for themselves. Do not compare yourself to your peers. That's the very first mistake that everyone kind of makes, but you realize with hindsight that you shouldn't kind of have that mistake because it doesn't really make sense, right? Because everyone's on a different track. So that's number one. Do not compare yourself to your peers. And number two is to really understand why you're in university in the first place. Most of us, it's to upskill, it's to reskill, and it's to meet like-minded people. So just surround yourself with like-minded people who have that similar ambition and who want to take your careers forward and to kind of bring it back to the CFG module. Really, I do recommend taking the CFG module. I think go on and apply. It's called CFG 1002. You can use it to clear part of your career campus modules. Really do it. Make full use of your time there. And I really do hope that all of you have a fantastic journey as well as part of your CHS system. And if you see me, I'll probably be around FAS or DEC, usually during the semester when they start, so just say hi to me. Yep, that's all from me. Thanks.
Okay, we are moving on to the Q&A section. So here's the QR code again for all those who have any questions. You all can scan and type in your questions on PoEV. Okay, we have some questions coming in. So there's the first question on, do we need to register for the Career Campus modules on CourseRec? So the answer is that you don't need to register on CourseRec. We will be pre-allocating these courses to you. Yeah. Oh, and there's a question about time slot as well. For Career Campus modules, it's actually an e-module that you have to attend different events and activities, so there's no fixed timetable slots. Yeah. And we have another question. Are Career Campus modules compulsory? Yes, they are compulsory for all CHS FASS students, so they will be pre-allocated to you and you will not be allowed to drop them. And we have a next question. Is it recommended that I take CFG 1002 ASAP in year 1 so that I can clear it? The
answer is yes. In fact, I recommend that you take it in year 1, Sem 1. Because it is a prerequisite for a number of level 2000 modules offered by CFG as well, including one where we bring students overseas to visit companies across different industries, and that's our Global Industry Insights module. So if you do your 102 in year 2, right, that means that you can only visit the companies in year 3, which may be too late. So I encourage you all to plan and actually go for the course early.
Okay. Another question, when do we know our career advisors? Are they tagged to our majors?
We are actually reviewing the distribution of the different majors. So you will see on our website the advisors that are tagged to you. And then when you actually log into Talent Connect, you will automatically be directed to book an appointment with the advisor who is tagged to you. Yeah.
Okay. Another question for Wei Ye. How to apply for the CFG 1002 module?
I think there is a link.
Will there be an email sent out to students? Yeah. So just keep a lookout for the email CFG 1002 from the course administrator. Okay, another question. Will Career Compass courses be counted under UE? So Career Compass courses are actually 0 unit. So
actually, as I was saying earlier, there are actually a range of activities. So the Career Compass basically is a 4-year thing, and each year the idea is for you to take part in some activities. So the answer is yes and no. There are some activities which don't have no course credits or course units, but there'll be some that might entail a couple of credits, as Ethan was saying. So it really depends. But all this information will be put on the website. So the idea is you just you make your choice in a kind of informed way, right? So some will be unit bearing, some will not be.
okay. Thanks, Prof. Hon. For the next question, maybe to Ethan and Wei Ye. Is it possible to secure an internship in my first or second year? Any tips to share with the students?
So for me personally, okay, so the careers team in NUS are fantastic in terms of disseminating information regarding internships. If you can join the EDM, the emailer, you can join the Telegram chat. In fact, I had to mute the Telegram chat channel because there's so many internship and career notifications being disseminated. So there's a huge abundance of different internships, and there's no limit as to what internships you can do per se in terms of you reaching out to other organizations, but you eventually have to clear it with the department before you can actually embark on those internships. So there's a portal I think called NUS Talent Connect, when you can go on, then you can see all the internships that are offered, and those have been cleared by the university for you to embark on. So there's an abundance of internships. But in terms of whether or not you should take it in your year 1 and year 2, I can speak for myself, at least for a political science major. Not too sure if every major in FAS is part of this, but internships are not required for my major. I don't have to do an internship for me to complete my major. I think social work you have to do. There are some majors in FAS you have to do that. But for me, I just took it upon myself to complete an internship during the summer holidays between my second year and my third year, because it was just convenient for me to do so. For me, I didn't really think that it was beneficial for me to do an internship part-time or concurrently with my studies, as I wanted to focus on my studies and the work that I did during that period. But honestly, it's up to you. I recommend that you consult your friends or your career advisor. That will be better. Yeah, there are resources there for you to reach out to in terms of navigating what internships and careers you can have access to.
Thanks, Ethan. So, ultimately, it's up to you all to decide, right, whether you want to pursue an internship in your first year of study. And there are employers that look out for interns even in their first year, right? You can do a winter internship for just 4 weeks during the December holiday. You can do a summer internship during your summer vacation period, which is going to be like right about now, right, after your first year of studies. It's really entirely up to you, and we do publicize all these opportunities to students, whether it's via our EDM or via the different channels, right, Telegram and whatnot. So yes, I wouldn't say that it's best recommended. It's really entirely up to you. If you already know what you want, then probably you have less need, right, to explore. But if you still don't know, then internship is actually a very good way for you to explore the industries and the job functions, right, to see whether or not it's something that you like. We've seen students who embark on internships in the year 3 thinking that, I really want to be, a teacher, for instance, or an engineer, for instance. And then after the internship, right, they realize that, hey, this is really not something they want. And then by then you're already in year 3, you have to go back to the drawing board and start planning it all over again, right? It might be a little bit tiring in that sense when you still have to focus on your studies, right, in your senior years. So I would say, no harm trying early and explore if that's what you want. There are different internship programs offered by FASS as well as by CFG, and some of the programs that you all are in, right, would have compulsory internship. So those will likely come in your year 2 or year 3 even. But for programs, internship programs that are administered by the Career Center, most of the time we don't restrict it to a particular year of study. So you can just come and look for us and have a chat with the career advisors if you're interested in internship in your first year or second year.
Okay, thanks so much, Wei Ye, Ethan, and Prof. Hon for sharing. I think we have to wrap up the session because we are sort of running out of time. But I do notice that many of you all have quite a lot of questions. So you can actually reach out to us. Okay, so I'm the course coordinator for Career Compass. My name is Beatrice. You all can email me or call me, but I think you all might prefer email. So yeah, even internship related questions, you all can also reach out to me, then I will find out the answer for you all. Yeah. So the orange QR code is if you want to find out more about Career Compass series, and then to understand more about CFG, you can scan the purple QR code. Okay. Thanks everyone for your time. Yeah. Thanks to our panelists as well. Thank you.
Test. Thank you to the team at Careers at FAIR. So now there would be a research sharing by Dr. Tin Chua from the NUS Center for Sleep and Cognition. So as we are setting up, I will be passing out some pamphlets regarding her sharing. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think there is a flyer being passed around. Just make sure you grab one, and if you think one of your friends might be interested, you can just grab one for them as well. So just so you know, NUS, in addition to all of your coursework, NUS is also a very highly recognized research university that we do a lot of different research projects to understand human behavior, cognition, psychology. If you are in the psychology department, you will do a lot of these experiments. So here at the Center for Sleep and Cognition, we try to understand sleep as a human behavior and how it connects to personal well-being and performance, either cognitive performance or psychology or academic performance. So, that works. As you know, sleep is a very important, serves very important physiological functions. If you don't sleep well, you will have the risk of developing insomnia, which will lead to more stress and more sleepless nights. That's like a vicious cycle going around. And especially for first-year undergraduate students, you will have a lot of precipitating factors or stressors during the day. For example, your coursework, your friends, your relationships, your exam next day, and your future, your jobs, your career. And any of these factors could have an effect on your sleep or affect your sleep reactivity. And if your sleep reactivity is affected, you will likely develop some insomnia symptoms, like you cannot sleep at night. You will think about things that will likely to happen in the future, and you will worry about it. And those things will cause anxiety and depression, and may lead to, again, more sleepless nights. And if you haven't experienced any insomnia symptom, just let me tell you that sleep loss would erode any willingness to exert effort all you want to do the next day is to sleep. You can't study, you can't concentrate, you can't perform as a healthy human being. However, a lot of times as students, we do want to sacrifice our sleep time to pull an all-nighter for the exam, or to just scroll a couple more videos on TikTok for a couple hours, or to talk to a friend for overnight, and without actually fully understanding how horrible that would affect your next day's performance or your next day's mental health. So therefore, the main research question that we are trying to answer with the NUS 1000 study, which is the first study of this scale in the world, is to understand how sleep is modulated over the academic year. So would students cut back sleep time before exams? Or would students, try to sleep a bit more before exams? And would you exercise more before exams, or would you cut back time to study instead of exercising, or vice versa? Right? And also, how does sleep behavior interrelate with physical activity? Again, if you exercise more during the day, do you sleep well? If you feel better during the day, do you sleep well? Or if you, on the other hand, if you feel horrible during the day, would you sleep worse? We are trying to understand all these, and how would that impact your learning outcome for the first semester? Like, how would that affect your GPA in the end? And we want to identify what are the barriers keeping students awake at night. Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it your grades? Is it your friend? Whatever, we want to understand. And then if we understand what's keeping students awake, can we do something in the future so that students can sleep better and experience university life, in a better shape for future, or for yourself, actually? And how do we do that? To participate in the study, you will be given one of those Oura rings. I'm wearing one right now. It tracks your activity, heart rate, and sleep on a 24-hour scale. Like, you do it, you wear it, you don't really have to pay much attention to it. It also tracks calorie burn. Like, if you go on a workout, it will track how much calorie you burn. So it's a bit like a fitness tracker, but much smaller. And to pair with the ring, there's also a couple apps. One of the apps will show you your sleep score. So let you know how well you slept last night. And what you need to pay attention to. Is it the time taken to fall asleep, or is it deep sleep at night? So we'll give you a little bit of sleep education in the app. Another app will ask you to note down the stressful events during the day. So say you have an exam coming up and you feel very stressed about it, you can note it down in the app. And it will ask you to rate how stressed you feel on a scale of 1 to 5. And those will give us indications of how you deal with stress, how these stressful events affect your sleep and daily activity. And you may ask, what do I get out of this? What, in addition to providing data for sacrifice of the human race, what do I get out of this? Well, first, you get to learn more about yourself. With the Oura Ring, with the apps, you learn how you sleep. You learn how you deal with stress. You know how stress affects you, and it will give you understanding of how your sleep affects your own psychological well-being and grades, like GPA in the end. And most importantly, you get paid, all right? By participating in the study, you get paid a daily amount for wearing the ring and then for answering the questionnaires. All adds up to $300. The $25 bonus is for if you allow us to track your location. Like, we want to know how far you commute from home. So you get $325 in the end, depends on how much data you want to give us. Plus, if you complete the study to the end, you will enter a lucky draw. Based on the dollar amount you earn, you stand a chance to win one of 5 MacBook Air if you stay to the end. And of course, you help the human race by understanding sleep and first-year university students. Okay, so here is the sign-up QR code. You should have the flyer. If you have any questions, you can ask me now or scan the QR code to find out more. All right, any questions? All right, no, okay, just remember to take a picture of the QR code or scan the QR code. Make sure you don't miss out on $325 plus a MacBook Air. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you for the sharing. So now we have Mr. Jason Huang, who will be sharing with us on student welfare and wellness. And after that, we would be having the last of our sharing sessions, which would be on student conduct matters. And we would be wrapping up at 1 p.m. So just stay tuned with us. Thank you.
Right, sorry for the technical difficulties. Yeah, so good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Jason. I'm a certified counselor and a student wellness manager here in NUS. And I just want to thank the organizers for giving me some time, some airtime, just to share with you a little bit about some mental health, the importance of mental health and maybe some self-care tips along the way. Okay, so it's a really chill, low-stakes situation. Just kind of sit back, just relax. All right, so maybe just to kick us off, I would like to get you guys to consider what do you think are the top 3 stresses faced by NUS students. All right, so take some time, and then I'll just invite some 3 brave souls to raise your hand and maybe shout out your answers. And I've got some knickknacks for you, but yeah, so just take your time to think about it. Really limited edition. I don't know what these are, but badges or something like that. All right, so anybody? Yes, academic, absolutely, that's one. Okay, you want to come down and get your, okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, so academic is one, right? Okay, anybody else want to give 2 shots? Who said that? Right, social stresses, right, absolutely. So how about the last one? Think about what happens when you graduate. Okay, that is very true as well, absolutely. Anybody else? Sorry? Migrant? Oh, employment stresses. Yeah, 100%. Right, so not really that there is a right answer, but based on the Student Life and Wellness Survey that we do every single year, these are the findings that we found based on last year's results. Okay, so most of you got it correct. And So let me just go through a little bit in detail what that means, right? So academics, I think all of you guys are here because you're here with a certain aim, right? Maybe it's a GPA that you're trying to hit for, or some kind of honors ranking that you're trying to go for, right? So with every expectation that you put upon yourself, it's inevitable that between expectation and reality there is a delta, and that's where probably you'll experience some kind of stressor. Right? The same thing goes for career, right? Ultimately, every single one of you are here in a transitionary phase. Right? You're not going to be here forever. Some of you will be here for 3 years, for 4 years, but eventually it's a matter of when, not if, that you'll graduate and you will be pivoted into the workforce. Right? So that can be quite stressful in and of itself, right? Because some of your peers may be able to secure a job placement faster than, say, some others. Right? So again, with the expectation, there will be stresses. Now, interesting to note is group project, right? Because group project, in and of itself, should not be too stressful. I think most of you have already done something like that before, right? But down here in NUS, in the context of a group project, you will be meeting folks from various walks of life. There are international students who come from varied cultures and whatnot. Right? So just the idea of pulling all this together and interacting with one another, rubbing shoulders. Sometimes you may rub each other in the wrong way, and then conflicts may arise, and that can be quite stressful as well. Okay, so again, based on the Student Life and Wellness Survey done last year, these are the findings that we found. Right, so 44% of respondents or people who responded to the survey, which hovers around about 4,000 respondents, reported that they have some form of anxiety symptoms, and 32% reported some form of depressive symptoms. So what do you guys think? What do you think this means? Right, does it mean that 44 and 32 respectively have some kind of anxiety, panic disorder, or some kind of major depressive disorder? That's going to be really high, right? Right. So that's rhetoric. The answer is no. It doesn't really mean that. But what this implies is that you don't have to be clinically diagnosed, right? It's not categorical. It's not binary. It's not like, it doesn't mean that you either have it or you don't have it. I think you may have heard of the common vernacular, which is, mental health is a continuum. Where you are seated today, you're here for orientation, there's a slew of activities later, it's fun. But a couple of months down the road, maybe a couple of years down the road, because of various stresses, you may experience certain things, right? It could be relationship woes, it could be academic struggles and what have you. But regardless of it, how you're feeling today may not necessarily be how you're feeling tomorrow, right? So just bear in mind, right, that this numbers here may include you sometime down the line, okay? So, well, the question begets, right? If you ever feel kind of distressed, or if you feel like you're struggling with some kind of mental health concerns, and I don't mean diagnosis, but any kind of struggle that you're going through, who or what can you do, right? Who can you turn to, or what can you do? Right, so enough of my voice. I'm going to just play a short video, and just enjoy the video first, right?
Welcome to NUS. Hey, I'm Taylor, a Year 2 engineering student. I had a great time in Year 1, but I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't always easy. Instead, there were some challenges along the way, and I learned that prioritizing my wellness was important. I want to share some tips with you so that you too can better manage your NUS student life. At first, adjusting to university life was challenging. The fast-paced environment, juggling between mods, group work, and making friends was overwhelming. By second sem, I started to feel a little burnt out. But with some daily practices, I was able to focus on my goals and make it through the year. How did I do it? Fortunately, I stumbled upon the 7 pit stop principles and adopted them into my daily routine. It helped me cope with stress, and I hope it'll help you too. P. Personal skills. Practicing mindful breathing, managing my schedule, and checking in with my emotions regularly helped me to manage the stress. I. Interaction. I didn't think I had time for a student club, but I gave it a try and joined Ultimate Frisbee through NUS Sync. I finally made some close friends, and this awesome bunch became my support throughout the entire year. T. Time out. After a long day, I like to relax and reward myself by watching Netflix. Remember to give yourself some time to rest and recharge. S. sleep. I know that 7-8 hours a night is recommended. Going to bed early ensured that I was refreshed for my morning classes. T. Thoughtful eating. Eating healthy meals would last me throughout the long, hectic day. But, of course, I still love my sweets. O. On the move. I also exercise 3 times a week to get my endorphins up and to be ready for my day's challenge. Such as, running to catch the bus. P. Purpose. I also volunteer with a student club that supports seniors. Besides it being a blessing for others, it makes me feel so good too. Now, remember, PITSTOP. In fact, did you know there's a chill and fun place called Pit Stop? And it's the perfect spot to rejuvenate between classes. Activities include dropping crafts, game to play, and they even have massage chairs. Or, if you just need a listening ear, caring peer student supporters and student wellness staff are there for you. Know that you are not alone. There is a whole support network at NUS. By practicing these 7 principles and prioritizing my wellness, I feel more confident and even more prepared for the coming years. Try out some of these tips for yourself. Then see you around campus.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that short video. My voice again. Okay, so I just want to take some time just to explain again and maybe elaborate a little bit on what these 7 pit stop principles are. Okay, not to patronize you, but I think just to maybe sing a little different tune from what Taylor actually sang. Right. So the 7 pit stop principles here essentially you can conceptualize it as the 7 aspects of self-care. Now we know that the word self-care is thrown around in your TikTok and Instagram and whatnot. But what exactly does that mean, right? So there are really maybe 100 over kinds of self-care. But down here at NUS, we have identified 7 that we hope we can encourage students like yourselves to pick 1 or 2 that resonates personally with you and then kind of commit to it and see it through. Okay? So I'll just explain or elaborate a little bit what each of these are. Right, so the first one, of course, is personal skills. Now, I think all of you probably will know by now that most of life's important lessons are not taught in the classrooms. And I think that's probably true. Right? Things like how do you manage your conflict resolutions? How do you deal with your rising and falling emotions regardless of the circumstance? How do you deal with grief, for example? These things will certainly come to you in a matter of time. Maybe not now, but soon. Right? So when these things happen, how do you deal with that? I think it's important, therefore, that you make it your aim, right? Endeavor to kind of learn for yourself what are some of these things, what are some of these skill sets that you want to take up. And these are not tangible skill sets for the most part. These are intangible, right? But still, it nonetheless calls for your attention. The second, of course, is I, which stands for interaction. I think all of us have been through the COVID-19 pandemic and being locked down and being restricted. We have almost turned to our mobile phones, right, just to communicate with people. But I think sometimes the mobile phone or technology is not a good substitute for real-time face-to-face interactions with one another, right? So again, I want to encourage you guys to prioritize meetups, right? Whether is it through meeting for lunch, for over a meal, hanging out over a movie, prioritize that, right? Because we are ultimately social beings as well. T stands for timeout. Now, timeout is not really just about going back from a long day of work or studies and turning on Netflix or what have you, and then sitting down on your couch and watching a movie. That is like the most surface understanding of timeout. I think really timeout is almost the idea of learning by paradox. That sometimes in order to gain something, we need to first and foremost learn to do nothing. Right? It's the art of learning how to disengage. Right? I think all of us, for most of us, may feel the need sometimes to be really hyper busy, right? To be productive, to squeeze everything into our schedules just to feel maybe a sense of importance. Right? But why is that the need for doing that? Right? Maybe we can do something unorthodox, something different, something radical. Right? Maybe taking long walks to nowhere with no agendas, with no phone in your pocket, or even sitting by the beach just by yourself. Right? If the idea is that if you're able to just allow yourself the time and space to be present and alone, maybe you start to see things a little clearly as well. Now, sleep, I don't want to patronize you, so just want to encourage you guys to have about 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. Again, as students who are going to be really busy, sleep is always deprioritized to the last thing, right? So I really want to encourage you to still not do that as much as possible, and even when the deadlines come creeping up, to still prioritize your sleep, because that itself, in a very strange way, is how you care for yourself, your physical body. Okay. Now, thoughtful eating, again, it's a little tangible, right? But I think it's not just. It really homes in the idea of we are literally what we eat, what we consume, right? So if you eat a lot of fast food every day, in a matter of time, something's going to give in your body, right? So I think it's important to be mindful of what you consume. But I think more than that, I really think that philosophically speaking as well, we are the sum of what we consume beyond food, right? So again, as you're here in NUS, be mindful of the things you consume, right? Whether is it the types of movies or the types of TV series that you watch, the types of music you listen to, the type of podcasts you listen to, or even the type of books that you read or articles that you consume. Be mindful, because whether you know it, you will be the sum of what you consume in a matter of time. Okay. On the move is really the idea of exercising. Again, down here at NUS, you'll be using one main faculty, and it's not, it's your cognitive faculty, right? You're going to be using a lot of this place up here. But you, again, are not just cerebral beings, right? You don't just exist from the neck up, right? You have an entire body. And I, again, want to encourage you guys to really engage not just the mind, but also your entire bodies, right? Whether that's through exercising, through sports, because only then can you be fully human. The last but certainly not least is the idea of purpose. Now, purpose is not voluntarism. That's the easy tune to sing, right? And purpose is not goals, because goals are transient, right? They reflect the season that you're in. So for now, maybe your goal is to secure a good GPA, right? Whatever that means, right? Maybe when you eventually graduate, your goal is to secure a good employment with a good paying job. For some of us, maybe your goals could be to get married and what have you. But so goals change with the season, but purpose should not change the season. Purpose should transcend goals, right? And so again, I want to really, really encourage you guys here that at NUS, don't just make it your aim to discover for yourself what you want to do, because that you probably will, right, in the next 3 or 4 years. But also try to endeavor to discover for yourself who you want to be. What are your passions? What are your convictions? What are your belief systems? Read this out, allow it to distill for yourself, so that eventually when you graduate from this place, the man and woman that you are will be, in some sense, solidified as you enter the workforce. Right, so again, these are the 7 pit stop principles. Pick 1 or 2 that resonates with you and try to give that a shot. Okay. Okay, so I'm running out of time. So I won't go into too much detail, but again, this slide is just to re-emphasize the point that here at NUS we have a slew of support system for all of you, all right, because you're an NUS student. And I won't go into too much details, but by now I think you guys know that there's this app called the Universe app that you should by now have downloaded it. And there is a tab there which is under the emergency tab. You can look at all these resources. But I just want to emphasize 2. All right, the first one is, again, if or when you ever feel the need to speak to someone professionally, please reach out to the bottom left, which is the University Counseling Services. Okay, as long as you're an NUS student, you'll be given free, private, and confidential sessions. So nobody needs to know if that's a concern for you. But please do reach out. Right? This, you may forget what I say today, but you know, if you ever need it, please remember you can just log into Universe and be reminded that this is something you can take. The next one, of course, that I want to emphasize briefly is the top middle, right, which is the student support managers. Now, I won't explain too much because later my colleagues from their team will come down to share with you a little bit about themselves. But that's a resource that you guys can turn to as well. Okay, 2 more slides. Okay, right. So briefly, I come from the student wellness team. Those are some of my colleagues up there in the top left. And if you feel that instead of speaking to So my team comprises of trained counselors and social workers, right? So if you, for example, for whatever reason you feel a bit apprehensive to talk to a counselor in a very clinical setting, you can reach out to us instead, right? And we'll probably do something similar, albeit in a very slightly less formal setting, okay? And the last 2 points is we also have this thing called peer helpers or peer student supporters here at NUS. Most universities in Singapore has this. And these are basically seniors like yourselves who have undergone a module that trains them in basic peer helping or basic counseling skills. And again, we have this resource available because sometimes we make the assumption that maybe students like yourselves may not want to talk to a staff who is of a slightly different generation and stuff like that. And maybe it's easy for you to reach out to your peers, right? So if that's something that works for you, please do, right? They'll be stationed in this student lounge called Pit Stop, which the video already elaborates, so I won't go into that. Okay, time is against me. So before I end, I want to introduce some of my colleagues from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, which is where you guys will be at for the next couple of years. And these will be your student support managers. Okay. Yeah, Mark.
Thank you, Jason. Hi everyone, my name is Mark. I'm from the student support team here at FASS. So this is Jason. He's from a university level team called the Student Wellness Team. Okay, so they work with university level campaigns, initiatives, things like the peer student supporters and things like that. But in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, where you are right now as well, there is also a team. And so we wanted to make sure that we take a little bit of time to come and say hello to you. Okay, so there are 3 things that I would like to say today to all of you. The first is that, number 1, we exist, okay, and we want to introduce ourselves to you. So like I mentioned, my name is Mark. Here I also have Sini and Lynn. Okay, so there are 3 student support managers here in FASS. And basically what we do is we deal mainly with mental health related issues, or sometimes if a student is going through a certain amount of stress, they are wondering what resources are available to them inside the university. What are some academic levers that we can pull in order to help you? What are some financial things that we can possibly offer to you? What are some other support structures that are available to you? For example, counseling, or our friends over at the Student Wellness Team. These are people that we can connect you with, and we are here to help you. Okay, so it's very, very important for us that all of you know that there is such a team, because it's one of those things that kind of gets lost in all of the stuff that you're doing, all of the assignments, the exams. It's important for you to remember that there is such a team here and that is here to support you. Okay, number 2 is that just to echo something about that Jason said, which is to reach out as much as whenever you need it, whenever you feel like you need it. It is okay to feel like things are a bit of a struggle. It is, in fact, not just okay, but it is a totally normal thing, because you're entering a very new kind of situation, a very new kind of environment. The way that you study is going to be different. The people that you interact with are going to be different from what you've experienced before. So it's very common to run into certain things, or to be feeling, a bit more mental stress than before, or to feel a bit more kind of like, I'm not exactly sure what is going on here. Totally fine, totally normal. The important thing is that you know that there is a team that exists to help you, and the important thing is that you do reach out. There is no such thing as a matter that is too small. Sometimes people say, I just, I feel like I'm just struggling a little bit with my academics. I'm probably just maybe not so academically inclined. I'm just going to figure it out on my own. And that's it. That's the problem sometimes, isn't it, with issues like that? People feel like I should just be figuring it out on my own. It's just something I have to untangle. There is no issue that is too small. Reach out, okay? And also, there's no issue that is too big that no one can help you with it. Come and speak to us. We will try our best to help you. If it's not us, we will try to bring you and connect you to the people who can help you, okay? And maybe it might not be you, many of your friends have gone out to, practice thoughtful eating outside, I guess. But you might be walking alongside someone who needs that help. And so all of you here in this room are the people who know that there is this student support team. So come speak to us, connect with us. Okay, and the way to do that is primarily by email. If you go and dig around online, you'll find the office numbers and things like that. But email fassupport@nus.edu.sg if you run into any kind of issues, especially mental health related. Please please get in touch with us so that we can help you as much as we can. Often we will hear students who are like, oh, I didn't realize that this was available to me, or I didn't realize that there were these resources that were available. Okay, so come and speak to us. Number 3 is that we are going to be outside in the deck. Okay, we have a little booth set up there. And that you can go there, there's a little activity for you to share some encouragement with your peers, as well as to take a piece of encouragement for yourself to take home and into the rest of your university life. But also, we would love to just meet you, say hello, and if you have any questions at all about student life here at NUS, or you have questions about the student support team and what we do in particular, please come and say hello and speak to us. Okay? Yeah, so if there's nothing else, then I think we'll see you outside at the deck. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
We're on to the last leg of our sharings this morning. So we have Mr. Kyril who will be sharing with us on student conduct matters. And after 1 p.m., you would be free to have your lunch. And we also do have the department-based sharings in their respective locations. So please take a look at the website or the signages outside the hall, which will lead you to the sharing areas for the department-based sharings. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. And very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Kai. I'm from the NUS Office of Student Conduct. And thank you again for FAS Dean's Office for inviting me to speak to all of you today. So, a little bit about myself, if I can. Is it this way? Okay, I'll just use the keyboard then. Okay, so I'm from the NUS Office of Student Conduct, which is a part of the NUS Office of the Provost. So this is my team, and we are led by Associate Professor Stella Tan, who is the Associate Provost for Student Conduct. So this morning, I'll go through 3 very important things with you. It might be a bit dry, but it's still very important things for you to take note so that you can have a very fruitful journey in NUS, right? So first, the NUS Code of Student Conduct. So what you see here is not really a laundry list or like a to-do list or something that you need to follow. Think of it as a guide or framework. Something that, as NUS students, you are expected to, try to uphold, right? And most of these are, pretty basic things like integrity, in academic, professional, and even personal settings. Respect for people, and all their backgrounds. Right, regardless of race, gender, religion, disabilities, and different opinions, and respect and compliance with the rules, laws, and regulations of not just NUS, of course, but of Singapore. And lastly, it is everyone's responsibility, shared responsibility, right, to maintain a safe campus so that everyone can have a good time in NUS, learning and growing. So, like I said, this Code of Student Conduct is non-exhaustive, right? But of course, it aims to complement the existing laws and policies that the university has. Okay, so shout out to our OSU website. You can find the Code of Student Conduct here, as well as some of the other resources that I'll be going through. So you can take a look. Okay, but more into the offenses, right? So I'll be going through academic offenses first, and there are 3 main ones here. Plagiarism, which I think most of you will be aware of because you would have learned about it in our e-course SE1000 that I think all of you would have read by now. Okay, cheating. So cheating comes in many different forms, right? We've seen cases of students forging medical certificates, which outside of NUS actually is illegal, by the way. So forging medical certificates to miss assignments, miss exams, miss class. So these are kind of cheating offenses. We've even seen students, engaging external help with their assignments, right? Like asking someone else to log into their account and doing their exams or assignment for them, those kind of things. And violations in assessment regulations. So this one's a bit more broad and should be more specific to each of your different courses, because this also includes some regulations that some of your different lecturers may have for you. So for example, if you're entering to a specific module and your lecturer lets you bring in some notes, if he says 2 pages and you bring in 3 pages, then you're actually violating the assessment regulations, right? And of course, the normal things in physical exams, right? Like no copying, no communicating with your friends, those kind of things, right? So these are all very serious offenses, and the university does take a strong stance against this. Okay. Yeah. So this is what the e-course looks like on Canvas, which I'm sure most of you would have completed by now. And so now I will move on to general offenses. So you see a list here. I'll be going through each one. First is inappropriate orientation activities. So I'm sure it's been an exciting period for all of you right now doing, in the midst of orientation. Some of you may have gone for some camps, and some camps may be upcoming. So I would just like to emphasize here that, it's part of orientation activities. Everyone should be made comfortable, right? And in no way should anyone else make your fellow students make you feel uncomfortable in any way. So as a bystander, if you see one of your fellow OG mates, right, feel uncomfortable in any shape or form, you can try to do something. And what would you do? I will share some resources with you at the end. But remember, this is emphasizing respect for others. Okay. Use of social media. I'm sure some of you also have downloaded Threads, right? The new app by Instagram. So your conduct online is also your responsibility, right? And in no way, shape, or form should you be using your social media platforms irresponsibly by doing, such things like cyberbullying, harassment, defamation, derogatory remarks, that kind of thing. Okay. Okay, subletting. So this may affect only a small population of you, those of you who are staying in the residential colleges or halls of residence, or even UTR, some of the student campuses, student hostels. So I want to emphasize here that subletting is strictly not allowed, and it goes against actually the housing agreement that you have signed when you agree to be a resident. Okay, so whether there's monetary or non-monetary considerations, you should not be loaning your room out to someone or having someone still stay over in your room, right? Because student housing is a privilege. Something that's not here, but I would also like to emphasize, is that if you as a host have visitors, have guests, the conduct of your guests is the responsibility of you, the host. Okay? So perhaps you should keep that in mind when you're hosting your friends over, right? Okay. Next is on theft and misappropriation of property. The usual things may get stolen or misappropriated, handphones, laptops, especially laptops, right, around the campus, even wallets. But we've seen an increase also in stolen parcels, food items especially. Like when you order Grab and it comes to your RC or something in the lobby, and you don't arrive there in time, but someone else takes your food. Yeah, so that is also considered theft, right? So please don't do that. Okay, another big issue on trespassing here. So in general, most of the campus facilities have visiting hours, right? This includes the gyms, the sports complex, and all the other facilities. And this also includes the hostels themselves. So each hostel has their own visiting hours, and you should not be around after those visiting hours, because this could be counted as trespassing, right? And another thing is to also using another gender's toilet. We've seen cases of that as well. Yeah. So please adhere to the visiting hours. Each place has their own visiting hours, right? And of course, the last type of trespassing would be trespassing to, restricted areas that you have no access to, like laboratories or, those kind of places. So NUS is a no smoking, it's a smoke-free campus actually, so no smoking is allowed on campus, right? And there are different reasons, right? Of course, smoking in high-risk places could be a hazard, right? And in such cases, you will be subjected to disciplinary proceedings. And if you are a recalcitrant offender, of course, we will go harder on you. But here's the other side of it. The University Health Center, UHC, has a program that helps you, quit smoking. So if you or someone you know would like to engage in such a program, please feel free to approach UHC and get more information from them. Or if you would like to also approach any of the other general hospitals in Singapore, they have their own programs as well. Okay, this next one is on alcohol. So no alcohol should be sold or consumed on campus except at approved outlets, right? And you should also understand the Liquor Control Act. So obviously, this is heavily seen in the campus residences, right? People like to sneak in alcohol and drink, right? So again, please take note of this. You should not be drinking or consuming alcohol on campus premises. And we also see that some of the other offenses that I'm talking about and will talk about also involve alcohol. So alcohol is a factor, right, that kind of exacerbates and leads to other offenses that I've spoken about or I will continue to talk about. So just do take note. Okay. This last point on drugs. So obviously, you know that Singapore takes a very serious stance on drugs. You can read about it under our Misuse of Drugs Act. But in short, there's no consumption or even trafficking, manufacturing, importing, or even exporting, right? And even if you do this overseas, you might get charged, right? So just take note. Okay, last for the general offenses is student misconduct offenses, right? So NUS does have a policy on staff and students against sexual misconduct. And if you are unsure what sexual misconduct is defined as, you can read it here, it's sexual misconduct, or SM for short. It's a generic term used to refer to a range of acts of a sexual nature committed against a person by force, intimidation, manipulation, coercion, or without that person's consent, right? And these are kind of the examples of sexual misconduct. So first is voyeurism, right? Spying on people in intimate activities or, undressing, right? Sexual harassment, which means unwelcome acts of a sexual nature, and sexual contact / assault, so physical contact of a sexual nature committed against another person with or without their consent. Right? Okay. Yeah. So all of this will be covered in the respect and consent module, RC 1000. I'm sure most of you would have done the e-course by now, and you are also awaiting the workshop component that will become available soon for you to actually apply what you've learned. Right, so when the workshop sessions become available, please do sign up as quickly as possible, especially those who are in the hostels, because you have to do it by week 2, right? Or else you may get evicted. Yeah? Okay. So this is our prevailing sanctions framework for sexual misconduct offenses. But the long and short form is that if you are found guilty to have committed sexual misconduct, there will be a transcript notation reflecting a period of your suspension, and the minimum sanction is a 1-year suspension, right, from of your candidature, and you must be certified fit by the University Health Center before you are allowed to resume your studies here at NUS. Okay. So for these kind of offenses, especially the serious ones, so serious offenses get escalated up to my office, and a board of discipline may or may not be convened to hear your case, right? So these are the kinds of sanctions that that the university has meted out to students who commit such offenses. So they are largely similar for academic and general offenses. So for academics, you could fail an entire module and your scholarship may get terminated, right? Your candidature may be suspended or terminated. And for general offenses, we have community-based sanctions, no contact order, right, to protect both, to protect the complainant. And similarly, suspension of candidature or termination of candidature. Okay. So, just like with online, your conduct does matter whether you are on exchange, some overseas program, or even during your internship, right? So just being away from the university does not, make you immune, right, to the, to these disciplinary proceedings should your conduct be not up to standard, right? Okay, so this is the process for disciplinary proceedings. So when an offense is committed, it's classified, and if it's serious, a board of discipline, or BOD for short, will be convened to hear your case. And if it's minor or moderate, your relevant head of academic unit, or in this case, the faculty will be managing the case, right? And of course, you are allowed to appeal the outcome of the hearing within 14 days, and a different set of adjudicators will hear your appeal. Yes. Okay. So my last point here, and I will quickly move by this because my colleague Jason earlier had talked about all the different resources. But let me highlight two specific ones here. So first is the Campus Emergency and Security, CES for short. So you can just think of them as like the police, right? But a local police for NUS. So they have a 24-hour hotline, 24-hour email. So if you would like to report anything that you see on campus, please feel free to approach them. The next thing I would like to say is, emphasize, of course, is university counseling services, as Jason has said earlier. Lifeline at NUS is for any dire psychological emergencies. And NUS Listens is a general feedback email. Okay. Last slide. So student wellness is where Jason was from, so I will not cover it. But I would like to emphasize NUS Care Unit, or NCU for short. So they are the ones who will support students who are experiencing any form of sexual misconduct. So please feel free to reach out to them if you need any help. Okay. And with that, all the information that I've shared with you now, right, can be found in the student portal. So you can just look at this relevant page. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a good journey in NUS. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for sitting through all the talks. We hope you found them useful and informative. Okay, so now this concludes the segment on talks at the faculty level. So after this, you are free to roam around the FES campus, where every department will have a space to showcase their department offerings. We strongly encourage you to go and find out more about the majors that you're interested in, as well as any other academic programs that we have on display. Yeah, our friendly student ambassadors are also stationed all over the campus, so please do approach anyone in a black FASS polo tee if you need help. Okay, have a good lunch, everyone.